photo sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello there. Welcome, my fellow asylum inmates, to another installment of Canned Conversation. My name is Andrew, and with me, as always, my good friend Steven.
Well, hello.
Hello. This is number 99, my friend.
I know. It's kind of a big deal, right?
It is a big deal.
We got extra people today.
We do. So in our run up to 100, episode 100, this is 99, and we wanted to do something special, right? So in this episode, we're bringing some of those people that we reference on the show most often, right? You and I have talked for 98 episodes, and in many of those episodes, we've talked about our family.
Yep.
Right. And so, we wanted to bring them in on this special episode and get their points of view and ask them their thoughts on the show, maybe us, and anything maybe on their mind.
This is the scariest and most unpredictable episode we've done so far.
That's right.
Because it's up till now, it's just been our side of every story.
Exactly.
It's going on from the beginning of time till now.
Exactly. So my kids have asked to be on the show. The wives, to a certain extent, have often said we should be on the show. I don't know that they really
just want to retort, right? Like,
Yes.
Allow me to retort is what they want to do.
Especially my youngest, Elaine.
Oh,
Welcome,
that's me.
Elaine.
Hey, my name's Elaine. Oh my God.
Yeah, right? It's the audience that gets you every time.
Thank you.
You've been asking to be on the podcast forever.
So, before it was even before the name was even thought of, I was like, hey, you should let me on. So.
And we took a dry run at one point, and we recorded
so bad.
we recorded some fun. And but this one, we're like, hey, let's make it happen.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do, it's gonna be sort of a 3-part show, and we're just gonna go with it. This is gonna be wild and crazy. So for the first part of the show, we're gonna have Elaine on, and we're just gonna talk back and forth with you and have some fun there. Then we're gonna pause things. We're gonna come back, and we're gonna bring our older children on together.
My youngest, your oldest. Yep.
True, but older than Elaine.
Definitely older than
college age.
Definitely older than me.
And then we're going to pause again, and we're going to bring in the wives and finish up there and have get their take on everything. So this is wild, again, fun. Hang with us, hopefully, and we're going to do each brought a can. So we're going to have 3 cans and enjoy where that takes us.
Sweet.
All right, so I think we're good to say what the show's about. This is not my normal intro. So.
I know. Are you on the struggle bus with this? Because it's so weird.
So as is our ritual, one of us brings a new unique
go.
or rare canned beverage to try, and while we toss back each Florida ounce, we will attempt to amaze you with both our wit and our wisdom. And today's, obviously, we're going to have multiple cans and multiple
wits and
guests. So we're going to have both non-fermented and positive ABV, depending on who's partaking. So along the way, we'll review and rate each canned beverage and let you know if you should try it while hanging out and spending quality time like this with your family and loved ones.
Awesome.
All right. So let's get this started. I got a special intro movie line.
Yes.
Don't look here because I want you to hear it
Spoiled.
I'm
firsthand.
looking right in your eyeballs
and then,
right now.
and then guess. Here
so
we go.
intensely.
All right.
The game's up, Scarlet. There are no more bullets left in that gun.
Oh, come on. You don't think I'm going to fall for that old trick?
It's not a trick. There was 1 shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
There was only 1 shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, not 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay, fine. 1 plus 2 plus 1. Shut up!
I love the movie Clue so much.
That one was for you.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers by heart, like the 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2, but I know that whole movie inside and out. I know what each character, what weapon they get from Mr. Body.
My family is also addicted to that movie and can quote most of the lines. I think Taylor, he'll be on later, can do all.
On the
That's
side of
hers.
my head.
That's her favorite quote, and we use it all the time. Like we have
Yeah.
clue quotes all the time. in
I
our
almost
house.
picked that one, and then
Yeah.
I had another one with the early on when they're at the dinner table, and the woman is talking about the icebreaker. I don't really know why I'm here, but let's get things started, and the soup seems great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, well, that's the intro just for you.
Okay.
Brought it special. So
Thank
you brought us a
you.
can.
What'd you bring
did.
us?
Okay, so I'm gonna be
thirsty.
so honest with you. I only saw strawberry vanilla, and that's it. And I was like, "That's a keeper." So
All right.
here you go.
Awesome.
This is the can. I think it looks so cute. Like when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is absolutely adorable." It's just a soda. That's strawberry vanilla. I love strawberries.
Oh my gosh, this is going to support digestive health.
I know. I
It says
saw
probiotics,
that.
botanicals, plant fiber, non-GMO. This could not hug a tree any harder. Vegan, paleo, and made out of recycled materials or something.
Yeah, it says please recycle. So you better.
That's
recycle these
insane.
things.
This thing checks all the boxes.
Do you guys do the thing where like you tap the top before you?
No.
You guys need to do.
I don't think we've done
For
that
99
on one.
episodes, you
Right,
guys
well,
haven't
we'll do it on
tapped-
this one. So this is made by, I guess, Olipop, O-L-I Pop. Strawberry vanilla, a new kind of soda, 12 Florida ounces.
355 milliliters.
And since we normally do alcohol by volume, we're going to do, this has 3 grams of sugar per can.
Can.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information on the back, and it does ask you to refrigerate it, probably because of the probiotics. Or prebiotics, actually, on this one. I had
Oh, did I say pro? My bad.
I had an unfortunate item where I had something with probiotics or prebiotics in a drink, and I did not realize, and it went bad.
Because it sat out of the refrigerator? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
it was in the fridge. It just was in there too long.
Because of
yeah.
date, because of the live bacteria
Yes.
stuff in it? I
Yes.
got you. Okay.
All right, so good thing we're going to enjoy this, and we'll come back and rate it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to ask you a few questions, and I think you have a little bit of something you want to talk about, but I wanted to start with some questions I think it would be fun to ask you.
Okay.
So let's get started.
Yes.
So you asked to be on the show a long time ago,
Yes.
early on.
I did.
But you've also listened probably the least.
I think I listened to like 5 episodes.
Well, Taylor will give you a run for her money.
Right.
So
It's just not, and I get it. We're of the older generation. Probably
No.
not everything we talk about is up your alley.
No. So it's literally not you guys. I would listen to the podcast. I'm just not a podcast listener. I have to have something like visually going on as I'm doing stuff.
Okay.
So if it, like
That's why we went on YouTube, actually.
yeah, so that's
For your
crazy,
generation. Did it
except
not
for you
work?
guys just
Right.
sit there and do nothing except for talk.
Start juggling.
You know what's funny though? To balance that out, she's probably promoted us more than anyone else.
This is also true.
She
Yeah.
wears the swag. She's passed out swag to friends. And told people you should listen to the show. So it's kind of this weird dichotomy,
Right.
Of like, hey,
Don't-
you need to listen to this. And look, I'm repping it, but
Yeah. Do as I say,
doesn't-
not as I do. I
doesn't
appreciate you,
quite a lot.
Elaine. Nice
You're
work.
welcome.
So of what you've listened to, I guess, I wanted to ask all of the guests that we're going to have today do you have a favorite part? Do you have something that you want to say about the show itself? Like, was it anything you want to
I really like the last time you used the last clue quote. That was pretty fun. There's something that I would really like truly speak on because I think your podcast obviously has its imperfections, but for the most part, it's really good. No, but everything. I think
Absolutely,
everything
it
Oh,
does.
yeah.
It has some boo-boos, but you put the Band-Aid on and you've stuck with it. You've upgraded, and I've like, if you go back to the first episode, you guys could probably barely hear, barely see, and now you guys are like high tech, high
Agreed.
quality.
First 5 were trash. Not gonna lie, but that's how things
Yes.
work, right? You go, I'm gonna go in and fail a couple times and go, this didn't work. What could we do better?
Yeah.
and we figured it out. I mean, your dad's
Yeah,
done a ton of work on this though too, to make it cool.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do for a lot of things.
All right. So we talk a lot about parenting on this. And, we sort of apply what we think we've done in real life as far as parenting. And I don't want to get into necessarily the nitty gritty of like our everyday life and how I parent you, but just at a sort of a higher level, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts and ask you this. What are the most important life lessons that you think you've learned so far?
From you guys?
No, because the second part of my question is actually, do you think you learn those naturally, organically, or do you think that you learn them, or do you think our parenting played a role?
Okay, so what life lessons? Wait.
What do you think is the biggest life lesson so far in your life? What's the biggest lesson, or what's your biggest like mantra? What's the biggest rule you live by?
Oh, okay. Well, it's really a quote, but it's every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. So when I'm having a bad
It's a
day,
good quote.
Yeah, it's excellent.
I
That's
always
solid.
look for something that's good because like there's no reason to be upset every single day. of your
24
life.
hours a day isn't bad.
Yeah.
There may be 23 that are bad, but there's
Yeah.
1 hour that's good.
There's at least one thing in your day that has made you smile. You
love
can't
it.
go one whole day with like unless you're Otto. Do you know that movie? Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
It's a good movie. We watched
A man
it
named
together.
Otto.
Yeah.
So just to build on that a little bit, like it sounds like being positive, looking at, for the brightness in life and not just dwelling on the negative.
Yeah.
And so do you think you've really taken that and like learned that organically by reading a quote someone else wrote? Because I don't think I wrote that.
No.
I'm just guessing.
The thing is,
I don't think your mom wrote it either.
no. So
So do you-
I was scrolling on Google one day whenever I was like freaking in my smaller, younger age.
Yeah.
And I found the quote and I was like, oh, this is really good to live by. And as I grew up, I really stuck with it. I really grew into it and was like, I get what this is talking about. I get how this is helping me.
Do you
But I
see
don't-
that? Do you see that happening in your daily life though? Here, like inside of your family environment,
Yeah.
inside of the way that you've been parented.
If I'm ever upset, my family always makes sure to make me happy and like make sure to make me feel better. But I think I learned that organically, as you like to say. But I've learned it like just over time. Is what I would really say.
And I used organically there because we talk a lot about nature versus nurture. And, as you become a parent, you think a lot about, is there things that I can teach my kid, or is a lot of this going to come from the external world? And it sounds like your best parent is Google. So that's excellent.
Most best parents
The
are.
best parent is life itself.
Very good. Man, you're dropping some really nice wisdom on this.
Yes.
I like it. You're making us look pretty good. The only other thing I am going to ask every person on this podcast today, before we jump into maybe something you want to talk about, is do you believe that aliens have visited Earth?
So yes or no? Just giving you trouble.
I plead the fifth.
No, you have to answer. Everyone has to answer.
No, I don't think they visited Earth. Do I think they're real? Yes, that I do. I believe in aliens.
Okay.
But I don't believe in like the green, black eyes, black mouth. Like I just believe in aliens. But I don't think they visited us.
Okay. Good.
All right.
There's no wrong
additional
answers, yeah. It's all good.
thing is needed. Did you have any other questions before she?
Yeah, man.
Jumps
you got
in.
questions for me?
So just so you know, aliens was on my list of questions as well. My only question for you is, embarrassed or proud of podcast that your dad created?
Proud of. I am so proud. Dude, in the beginning, I was your number one supporter. I had to have been. No, but I always listened to you whenever you're like, here's some names I'm thinking of. Or like, like you said, I go to my friends and I'm like, listen to this. And I actually, so many of my friends do listen to the podcast because I tell them to.
Cool.
Well, oh my God, that made me sound so mean.
Because I tell them to.
Because I tell them to. No.
Right.
No, I understand what you're saying. The sentiment is, that you that you make it sound good, and then they maybe go and find it, and see how they like it.
Cool.
One thing that you guys haven't talked about is what I think you guys have gotten wrong. And the thing that I think you've gotten wrong is Andrew is not self-aware. He likes to promote that he is, but he is not self-aware at all.
Do you have any examples of this, or are you just dropping bombs?
Oh, you're right. You're just throwing grenades on our
Every single
guests.
time that you talk about where you're like, oh, I like to clean, but I don't think I'm that bad about it. I just like to keep my hands clean. No, you're so aggressive about it.
So that was my voice that you were just trying to do there. Okay.
So-
do I sound like that?
Yes.
So was that? So we had a couple episodes where we talked about we've talked about self-awareness, but we've also talked about passive aggressive or passive aggressive. So those three categories. I feel like that's maybe kind of what you're referencing, is that Andrew, I think a lot in that episode talked about, well, I like things clean, but he came across as hey, I am passive aggressive, where I'll be like, well, I guess that stuff's not going to put itself away. And you're saying that may not have been completely accurate.
This is true.
I'm more aggressive.
This is true.
You view it as more, you perceive it as more aggressive.
Yes, but you've gotten better.
That's all we're doing. It's incremental improvement, Andrew.
That's what we talk about on the show a lot. Is just find the weak spots and see if we can seal the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one thing I wanted to speak on, that you're not self-aware. So.
Well, I did have that for some of the, I thought that question may come up, in conversation. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw the grenade early. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not self-aware in my cleaning.
No.
Okay.
I don't think you're. So, I think you're self-aware in some aspects, but I think some you lack. Like, it's not just cleaning.
All right.
Your cooking skills is another one, but that's just life in general.
I'll be honest though.
We asked for honesty and transparency.
Wow.
I don't mind.
I told you this would be the most a little bit scary and completely unpredictable podcast that we have.
Yes, the most saucy one too.
Yeah, agreed. And when you live like both of us do, which is kind of why this podcast started in a house full of girls, like we are the odd person out all the time. And so there's some things that you just go, I'm just misunderstood. I don't know what to tell you.
Let me just call you out real quick to the
again,
audience.
good.
I'm calling you out. Your cooking skills are great. They're great. But if you were alone and and for a week, Monday, turkey leg, Tuesday, turkey leg, 3, rice and orange chicken, Thursday, turkey leg, Friday, orange chicken again.
Do you understand though that
I'm efficient.
he is a structured, scheduled person? If it were me, when I don't have anybody in the house, I forget to eat.
Oh.
Like I will go a day and go, it's 9:30 at night. And I go, I'm kind of getting hungry. And then I go, oh my God, no, I'm not. I'm starving. Like, and then I'll eat I'll eat 4 sleeves of Girl Scout cookies and then go fix 2 Hot Pockets and be like, I feel better. So just know, I'm pretty impressed that he cooks, and he's done that for a while, because you guys got dual income families and he's had to be home and do that. So kudos to you for even doing that, because my family would starve to death, literally to death. We would have eggs and bacon every day for dinner.
Yeah, during the week
it.
for sure.
What's happening?
I tend to lean towards the stuff that's easy.
Yeah.
So I found some easy things I can put in the oven. Maybe 1 or 2 more than a turkey leg, but to your point, I usually have those on standby, and then it's there where
You have your go-to stuff that you've figured out, and it's a pattern.
Yes,
Your
and,
dad's a pattern person.
The rest of my family does really like they live by the motto of I just
variety
lost
is
it.
the spice of
there
life.
you go.
I knew
Thank
that's
you.
where you were
Picking
going.
me up. I love it. You're excellent.
What?
Variety is the spice of life.
Variety is
so they
the
like
spice of life.
new restaurants, new dishes.
Yeah, this is true.
Trying new things. So they're like, hey, let's try this new recipe, which is great. I do love that. But
you're like,
it's hard to
cook
do
it.
that on a random Wednesday
Right.
when you're, get off work late and you come upstairs and you're like, I don't want to cook for an hour and a half. But I see your point. I will say on the weekends, is where I try to make up a little bit for it.
Spice things up with spaghetti.
Listen, spaghetti's good.
I smoke a lot of meats. I do
No, you do.
briskets.
You do.
Yeah,
You
you've
make-
got the
you make
Traeger
delicious-
now, and
You do, but it's like it's always a meat. Either
side and a veggie.
no, it's either stuffing, mashed potatoes, or salad.
Yeah,
It's one of those
go
three
to.
things.
That's three
So-
things.
Right.
Like,
But anyway,
you want Hot Pockets
Hot
Pockets and Girl Scout cookies? You come to my house. You want 3 square meals a day?
I've actually never had a Hot Pocket before.
See, you don't live in our house.
Yeah.
That's what's for dinner sometimes when no one else is home but me. Hot Pockets.
Actually, those are good. In a pinch.
Yeah.
All right.
So you got topics, don't you?
I do. Oh my god.
We're just,
stand by. Okay.
Stand by.
So
We're standing by.
ever since you told me that you were going to be on the podcast, which was during like the 50 era, I've started collecting things that I wanted to talk about.
Oh.
And
There's a collection of things?
yes.
Awesome.
So it's not just like really one topic. It's a few things where like I'll be sitting in class one day, I'm like dozing off. I'm like, oh, that would be a good question. I'll just write it down.
Fun.
One of the questions is, what are 5 things that you that you want to see in your daughter's boyfriend, or also don't want to see, and or don't want to see? What are 5 things you want to see or don't want to see in your daughter's boyfriend?
We'll let Steven go first.
Oh God.
I'll go first.
I'm just kidding. I can go. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You go. Give me one. Give me your top one.
Boyfriend, respect all the way around, respects you and as a person, and respects everything about you, right? Your individuality, that, you are an individual person, and that a relationship is 2 people, individually coming together and doing that. So respect, number 1. Also respect us, hopefully, as parents.
Yep.
Number 2, fun and humorous, because I don't think I think that's sort of the way that we are when we're built. And I think you especially, you value humor.
I do.
So, I mean, if at least humor is there, then I think that's at least one step in the right direction. So I would say, that's 2 really big things. Then what I don't want to see is really, I've covered a gamut of the opposite of that is what I don't want to see, right? Disrespect.
Can I add 2 in there?
Yeah, sure.
So intent. So I know that's a weird one, but I need to know that you have the right intent for my daughter.
Yeah, very good.
Not that not from I want to know what your intentions are. I know what your intentions are. You're a boy. Duh. What I need to know though is that you are looking out for her best interest as a partner. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a yin and yang. I know both of my daughters have weaknesses, just like I have a weakness. My wife has weaknesses. I need you to be intentional and go, I know that weakness is there. I'm helping through your weakness and I'm playing off your strength. Like I need intent and I need honesty. Don't lie ever to my daughter. If you don't want to be with her, just say, I don't want to be with you. Everything's gonna crash and burn, but it will crash and burn honestly for a couple days and then we'll all move on. Don't lie. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Excellent point. And Elaine knows that one of my biggest pet peeves is lying.
Yeah.
And so honesty is huge. I sort of wrap that up in respect, but I think it does bear its own item there. So, yeah, I think we covered it pretty good.
That was 4, but I think those are huge 4. Like I would have picked your first 2. I'm on board with those 2.
Yeah.
Make my daughters laugh and make their life happier. Make them smile some way. But yeah. I'm 100% on those.
Yeah, and I guess if we have to fill out 5, I would just say I hope her family is super rich and gives a good dowry.
Right.
If that's still a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, wealth. Wealth is number 5.
Okay. Got it.
Obviously, just kidding on that, but
not really.
I'm not kidding.
Money helps.
Money's great.
Money's great.
It makes things a little easier. It doesn't make you happy, but it makes things easier.
You know that like meme where it's like whenever your grandma gives you like a birthday card and there's like money inside and you got to pretend like you didn't see.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know where I was going with that. I just think it's funny.
That's how you treat a husband. If you know there's money inside, treat it like you don't see it, but you just know it's there.
Right.
Look for the other stuff.
And it'll come in handy later.
It will.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's a super good analogy.
Yeah.
I love that. Boyfriend should be like your grandma's card. Look for the money, but pretend like you don't see it.
I love you, Grandma. Okay, so I don't know. I put game ... finish the movie quote. Oh, game finish the movie quote. Okay, we're not gonna do that.
Okay, I love that we're doing this on the fly.
I'm sorry. I had no idea what that was for a second. Okay. So now we're getting more into instruments because I am an instrument lover. I love music. Cool. I get into that sort of stuff. So this is a question that I love to ask people just in general. But what instrument do you think drives a song the most?
All right. Would you like to start this one since I started the last?
So,
and you're an instrument player.
I'm an instrument person. So every ounce of me wants to say a guitar. But for some reason, when you look back over time, a lot of the songs that you think of are driven by drum licks. And you know, just for some reason, there's a beat that's catchy and there's a beats per minute that I mean, there's a formula for pop songs, right? Like they have to hit a certain beats per minute. That's what's catchy.
Right.
So I don't know that you can get away from saying, I can't get away from saying drums are probably what drive the most listened to, like mind or earworm type music for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a different answer. The drum is the heartbeat. and it keeps everything else in motion. Now, that said, if there are great music and great songs that don't have drums, that are acoustic, or maybe just people playing a guitar or something to that effect. But the ones that really drive, or the ones that are really memorable, I feel have a really good bass or drum, and then bass layered on top of it, and then all the accoutrement that adds the finesse and the topping, and because that's where I kind of see like the guitar and some of the other instruments, or if you have a brass section, it's all the fluff that really is great, but
it's the decoration on the base model, right? Yeah. So I will take this back. I will say one of my I'm keeping my drum answer, but I just now realized I think there's a style of guitar where they're using the guitar as a drum. It's one of my favorite styles of guitar, and probably because it's percussive guitar, which is adding drums into a guitar. So I'm still going with guitar, but you have to play the drums with it.
So where they slap the body,
and they can make bass drum and snare and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
So here, I'm throwing in a new answer here because...
A new answer?
Yeah.
Good. What's your thoughts?
Because I think that this instrument is super underrated. I don't think a lot of people really think about it.
Please say piccolo.
I do really... I saw a video of this solo piccolist, and she was so good. I loved it. Anyway,
so
that's not what I was
yours?
going to say, though. Top 5, though. But I think one of the instruments that can drive a song through the roof is a trumpet. If you play it correctly, if you play it with passion, I think that can drive a song completely and make it so much more whole. Yeah, I think drums, especially because they literally keep the time of a song. And my second answer would probably be an electric guitar, but I think trumpets are so underrated, and no one really ever says that.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a good driving solo trumpet person, like a brass. Like you can have a brass component to a band, which is really cool and jazzy. Right. But there's all I could think of is You Could Call Me Al, that the whole trumpet thing, right? So anyway.
Yeah. And you very much you hear the brass when it comes on, and then it's a toe tapper, right? Like it makes you it kind of gets you grooving. So for sure. I enjoy. And we've talked a lot about music, and I don't know if you listen to probably not, just based on law of averages. The instrumentation is one of the things that we talked a lot, about, and said that it can really, even without a voice, you can just hear that, and especially if it's in movies too, right? It really drives emotion.
So my next question was actually going to be, which do you think drives the song more, the instruments or the lyrics?
We've answered this question.
Have you really?
On one of our episodes, and I'll start on this one, and I'll just say it's the instrument. So I'll just caveat this, that the lyrics and the voice of the lyrics are an instrument. I consider that as one instrument, and I don't think that it's because we've already talked about it. I don't think it's the driver. I think it's similar to what we said. It's the decoration on top. Really good lyrics, really good voice makes a song that much better. But when it's just the emphasis, that's where me personally, I'm not as big a fan. Right? I can listen to a really good voice and go, "Oh man, that voice is great. It's giving me goosebumps." But then I go, "But I want to hear now a song that has more layers to it, which has the other instruments." Stephen?
So mine is it depends, and that's not a very good answer for any type of question ever. But so your dad's not a lyric guy. He likes some lyrics, but remembering all the lyrics and getting caught up in the catchy lyrics, he's a music guy. He loves listening to music. I'm a lyric guy. I love to know the meaning of things, and I love creatively written songs. So lyrics drive stuff for me. With that said, I will also just listen to a cappella stuff and go, it's voices that can make sound and music really, really pretty. So I'm going to go with the opposite of him, because we're not going to answer the same thing every time. So I'm going to go with lyrics is it for me.
That's awesome.
My answer.
That's what we. Yeah, that's why you're on the show.
That's why you're on the show. Where you at?
I think that my answer would be instruments. I just think if you have someone singing alone, that's gonna be beautiful, especially if you have the right voice and if you have the right range. But I think instruments is what can make a song and really pulls it all together. But I agree with what you said, is that I think an instrument or your voice is an instrument. Genetics. But here's the thing is you also have to have
so you got the answer right.
You have to have the write lyrics to have a good song, because if you just start talking nonsense, then you're not gonna have a good song.
Agreed.
Like, you could have the best drum set, you could have the best guitar, you could have the best players of those instruments, and then be speaking nonsense, and you don't have a good song.
Although there was a lot of grunge rock that back in our day that you can't understand a single word of the song, but I love the song. I still couldn't sing a lyric from like most Pearl Jam songs.
It's hard sometimes.
Like
He
you have to
mumbles
look
a
them
bit.
up, and
Yes.
you look,
Pearl Jam is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, awesome.
All right.
Are we rating cans at some point?
Well, I just want to make sure that you finished your
I've
list.
hit everything. I've hit
Did you?
everything.
Oh,
okay.
Dude, I'm
not trying to rush you. I'm just saying
Oh, no,
we could even have
like-
done halfway through. And
I can try
Yeah.
to do one finish the movie quote, because this was the other movie line from that. Let's see if you can finish it maybe, and then we'll rate the can. So let's see. It's on this, and then I'm going to... I picked two last minute because we just a little behind the curtains here. We did a little bit of switcheroo. So I had to grab some Clue because I knew that was your favorite. Let's do this. Oh, I already said which one it was.
yeah.
Well, someone's got to break the ice, and it might as well be me. I mean, I'm used to being a hostess. It's part of my husband's work, and it's always difficult.
All
when
right.
a group of new friends meet together for the first time to get acquainted.
So finish that.
I could not finish that even if I tried.
All right.
I would love to, but I cannot.
Well, all right. Are
Did
you
she
ready
not
to...
get a? I always get a.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm the guest. You're
I know.
supposed to be making me happy.
I know, but I needed you to get a good and a bad buzz on the same. Like you've now done the whole show. That's it.
Whoa.
Right. You've completed the cycle.
all right.
Well,
All right. We ready?
So we always start with the person that brought the can, or usually do.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So,
1 out of 5. 5 being, I would give
1
it
through
like I
5?
would.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, you're really showing how much you listen to the show.
No.
5
It's
being
all
I
good.
follow
It's all
you on
good.
Instagram.
I know.
I like every post.
Our biggest supporter.
That's
yes,
right.
1 through 5, 3 being average, just that you would try it again. You would go and if you saw it or in the fridge, you would grab it and take a swig. 4 is one higher than that you're going to actively seek it out to buy it. So it's on your next grocery list that you give me to have me buy. And then 5 is that when your friends come over, you're like, you have to try this. This is so good. On the other end of 3 is the 2, which means you're going to finish that can, but you're never going to drink it again. 1 means you're not even going to finish that can because it's horrible. And 0, which we've never had thus far, is that you actively spit out the contents because it was
Vomited.
so bad.
So I'm gonna go with a what? No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna go with I don't think you've done this before, but a 3.5. Like,
Oh Jesus.
I
Here
should
we
have.
go.
sorry. Okay.
No, you're fine because this is a great callback to our first 8
5.
episodes.
Yeah, we did a bunch.
So we used to do half stars, and then we found that it was getting so caught up in the mundane, if you will. I mean, is that the best way I think to describe it? It seemed like it was getting so nuanced that was sort of pulling back a little bit from keeping.
Okay,
So
then
so-
You have to have full stars.
we do full stars on this show now.
I'll go 3. I'll go
Okay.
3.
Commit.
But I would buy it again. That's the thing. Like, it's
Yeah,
really good.
That's a good 3.
Yeah, I would. This is just. I probably like if I was because it's really good. You just have to get past the first sip. Like the first sip, I was like, oh my god, this is really bad. And then I kept drinking, and I was like, oh my god, this is really good. So
Interesting. All right, Steven, you want to go?
Sure. I'm gonna go with a. So this is why we don't do 0.5s, just for the record. So I'm torn between a 2 and a 3. I like. So there's part of the flavor that I actually really like, and then there's a part that makes me feel like I have to be vegan to enjoy it. There's something missing. So I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to drink a bunch of them. If they're maybe in a cooler, I'd probably drink 3 or 4. We usually talk about on a boat. So if I was on a boat and this was the only thing on the boat, I'd probably drink some. I'm gonna go with 3, but just know it's a very light 3. Andrew, where are you at with this?
All right. So yeah, you guys talked a little bit about the taste. I'm gonna delve into it just a little bit
Elaborate.
more. So there is definitely strawberry and vanilla, which I was excited about because I love strawberries. I'm a big vanilla fan. Not everybody in my family digs on vanilla, but I do like it. A vanilla soda, I'll jump on and go, hey, I'm going to try that. I think where you guys are kind of talking about and didn't really hit on specifically is I think you can very much have that undertone of this additional plants.
Yeah.
that is in here. So there's these prebiotics, botanicals, and plant fibers. Well, I don't taste the individual fibers. I sort of have, you get that little bit of taste of, there's a heaviness.
Yeah. Like a little thickness
That's
to it.
in there that I feel like they had the strawberry vanilla and it's a light over here, but then we added this good for you stuff, which makes me feel like it's less of, it's still a drink, but like they're packing in some good stuff, which is maybe what it's meant to be. So for what, because it supports digestive health, and it says microbiome approved. I mean, like this is really trying, I think, to promote itself as sort of a healthy. Hey, don't eat 5 pounds of spaghetti. Drink this. And have better health.
You know what?
So,
I'm a solid 3 because you're right. I'm not drinking this because it's a beer. I'm drinking this because it's probably good for me and it tastes pretty. It's not bad for something that's good for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still a solid 3 now.
If I were like to eat really unhealthy, but I still wanted something good, I think I would definitely pick this up and drink it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go 3 as well because I've had definitely way worse healthy drinks.
Agreed.
So
this is true.
if I'm on a health kick and going, hey, I need to drink something that's a little better for me, this taste is good, and I'm going to drink these. Whereas like I said, there's been other things where it's good for me, and I try it, and I'm like, I just don't even want to finish it. So that's why it's a 3 for me.
So I want to kind of say this is in the beginning. I was going to make a joke and be like, it says your creamiest, fruitiest strawberry sundae meets bubbly soda. And that is a very perfect description of this soda.
Yeah,
like I was going to make a joke and be like, oh, that's kind of funny. But no, that's literally a perfect description.
It's a pretty description. Good content writing.
Yeah.
Excellent copy.
Excellent copy. That's old school. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on here. It's been awesome. I hope you had a good time.
It's everything I've ever dreamed of. I got the ding, I got the buzz, I got the claps. I got Clue.
Yeah. You've hit the cycle.
We tried to get everything in there for you. And then once this gets published, I'm sure you're going to be like a rock star. This is going to go to the moon.
I'm definitely going to promote way more and be like, guys, I was on the podcast.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we're going to take a bit of a break here. In the magic of the people watching, it's only going to be about 5 seconds. We'll lower the curtain, and when it comes back up, we'll have 2 new guests. So
cool.
Thanks again, Elaine. And
thanks, Elaine.
Here we go. All right. And we're back. I know for those listening and watching at home, that was just a mere couple of seconds, but we have rejoined, and we are joined by 2 new guests.
Yay.
Hello.
Hey.
So as mentioned at the top of the show, we're breaking this into 3 different sections here. We started with my youngest, Elaine. Now we're moving into our college age children and invited them on to share their thoughts and opinions on life and our parenting and the show. So welcome, Miss Tay.
Hello, guys. What is up?
And Miss Marlie.
Hi.
All right. So let's just get into, again, now I mentioned at the top of the show, I know you weren't here, but we have 3 different cans. So we have a separate now can that someone has brought, and I believe it's Stephen and Tay.
Yeah. Yep, we picked it out.
So tell us what we're going to enjoy. Oh, yeah. You know what?
Do you want to do any sort of intro music to it or no?
Again,
No intro music?
Thank you for keeping me honest. And again, for those at home listening, I am I'm going to do this.
Poor planning.
Yes. I'm going to. All right, here we go. So we're going to do the intro music.
Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
I'll never join you!
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough! He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
There's the drop. Oh, again, thanks for staying with us, being patient as we work out a couple of the kinks of having all of this fun and variety on the show. So now we're going to have the can, right? And I'm super excited. So, so let's do it now. What have you brought?
What'd you bring
So we brought
into this?
French toast milk stout.
All right.
From Left
Who
Hand.
made it?
Left Hand Brewing Company.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. Left Hand Brewing Company, French Toast Milk Stout. This is exciting.
What if I want to right
From
hand?
our hand to yours. That's written in silver font against a white background, so that was a little tougher to read. But I got through it there. Thanks. What's the? There it is.
Sponsored by
What's
glasses.
what's the ABV?
Sponsored by Lynn's Crafters. This whole episode for us old people.
Yeah.
What is this? Start reading.
6% is what it is, the alcohol volume.
Yeah.
How many Florida ounces do you think this thing is?
8 million. No, I'm just kidding.
That?
How many Florida ounces? What have we learned in school?
Nothing. I didn't learn
Absolutely
anything.
not.
You're in college, and I'm pretty sure you maybe had one or two of these.
No.
No.
Milk stout is
You think we
normally
drink
gross.
under?
I meant the size of can.
What? How many ounces is in a normal size
Is it
can?
a 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so 12 Florida ounces. It says underneath that and sideways. So if I turn it to the side, don't you who have already opened it, a brunch-inspired brew with notes of maple syrup, vanilla, and rich caramel malt.
Ooh, I love caramel.
Yes, stout with natural flavors and caramel color. All right, so I'm excited. This is the first time we've had 4 people, so we'll be all enjoying this as we have a fun discussion, and then we're going to come back, obviously, a little bit later after our discussion, and we're going to rate it. So enjoy. All right.
Enjoy.
So let's go ahead and get started. I hope you guys are excited. I've got some questions. Obviously, you know, we've been on this show now for 98 episodes. This is number 99. You may not have listened to all of those or just a few, a handful. But of those, we kind of wanted to start with the show and just kind of get your general take, you know, on your thoughts of the show. Do you know, of what you've listened to, is it something that you enjoy when your parents get together and record themselves and put it out there for the world? We'll start with you, Marlie.
Personally, yes. Like, especially when you're live, I'll go on the live and I'll listen as much as I can, you know, because I work. But yeah, it's definitely great to listen. It also passes a lot of time in the car. Like, especially when I was going back and forth from Kansas City, I would listen to it just all throughout the car ride, and I'd go through like 4 of them. It was 4 hours, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Good,
It was
good.
nice.
That should be our new
was
slogan.
funny.
This will help you pass the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Long car rides,
Yeah.
don't fall asleep. Listen to us.
No, I agree. I think it's fun. I think it's funny. I know Dad would text me when I was at college and be like, we're going live. Like, if you want to listen, if you're free. And so I remember, like, I got a text one time and I was with a whole bunch of people and I was like, hey guys, my dad's live on his podcast right now. If y'all want to watch. Then they were like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, okay, that was a joke. We're not doing that. Like, we're about to do something else. Like, that was a joke.
Abort.
Right. I was like, we're not putting it on the TV. No. But no, I
didn't
think
mean
it's a
it.
good time. I think it'll definitely be fun to look back on in like 10 years just to see how things have changed and
How we've all grown.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just how our opinions have morphed, and it'll just be fun. It'll be fun to look back on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for preventing additional listeners. I think we had enough. So
We had almost too many. So if one
all your
full
fault, Taylor.
college
This is why I didn't go
We're
viral.
not doing that. We're not doing that. No more listeners. But I appreciate it. That
once we reach a quota, we start cutting people off anyway, and that's really rude. So I appreciate you doing that.
yeah, we have to pay extra for the more listeners. All right. So you know, I didn't have to ask your sister if there was anything wrong with the show or anything she felt that
Oh, dear Lord.
that we needed to potentially correct. But I felt like it would be a good thing to ask all of our family that are on the show today. You know, is there anything that we potentially got wrong of what you did listen to in terms of things we may have broadcast out there?
Get wrong? No. But like, sometimes I wish you guys would have included more stories about like how you grew up or like
your college years. Like, I know you did that like every once in a while, but there's so many good ones that I know about you that I feel like everybody could have enjoyed. And I feel like you guys could have shared more stories. Yeah.
I agree. I think those would have been fun to listen to. I also think it could be more. No, that's not the right word. I think you guys should have got drunker, like more consistently. I think hammered is funnier, and I think it's more like just out of pocket, like not even know what you're talking about really, but like on topic still, and it's just funny. And I enjoy those podcasts when they're like, you could tell that you're like, they've had a couple more than they might have showed on the podcast. I just think I think that is just funnier, and it's like more realistic of like, this is what we do when we actually hang out. We get hammered and we talk about stuff, and it's real life, you know?
Awesome.
Yes.
I will be honest though, we got too hammered on one episode, and it got trashed.
It blew up. Oh.
We couldn't use it because we talked in circles for 35 minutes. And we realized afterwards that we just kept saying the same thing, but we were kind of too intoxicated to realize it at the time. So it just went in a circle. I think it was just me.
You got your point across though.
That was the lost episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, we never published that one.
No.
Yeah, because I feel like you would have had to have been pretty wasted to follow it.
Which may have been funny too. To watch this, you have to be actively drinking as hard as you can go. Like
it would have came with a warning.
Right.
You should
don't
post
put this one on in the car.
Right.
Because
don't listen to this sober.
Not child friendly.
Right. But yeah, it wasn't so much that it wasn't too child friendly. It's just that we just kept repeating ourselves like every good drunk person does.
And ironically, it was one about marijuana. It was the marijuana episode, the first marijuana episode we tried to record.
Right.
And we were drunk by the end of it, and so it sounded like we were high, but we were hammered.
It was a bonus episode.
It was.
We were.
And it was horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh, it was a horrible can. Oh.
I remember you guys coming up from that episode, and I looked at you both, and I was like, oh my Lord, they are gone.
Is that the episode me and Mom had to come pick you up at?
No, it's a different one.
When you had to call your personal Uber.
I was going to say,
That's
I do remember that text.
But we've had some miniature cans on here where we've done bonus episodes where we do a couple, we fit a couple episodes a night, and those are rough. Those are need to ride home kind of rough. Yeah. But those are fun. Sorry.
Do you have? No, you're good. Do you you want to throw out one of your questions that you had, or do you want me to take another one?
Hit me.
All right. So we did an episode called Planned or Spontaneous. I don't remember what episode number it is. People can go back and look that up.
I don't have to.
Oh, you don't, but I wish you would. And listen. So label us.
Stop now.
You two
Listen
label
to
us.
That one.
Yeah. You two label us. Steve and Andrew, spontaneous, planned.
Planned, spontaneous.
Agree.
All right.
Question done. Boom.
Proud or embarrassed
right.
of this podcast?
Got the button wrong.
No. I mean, your answer was correct.
Proud or embarrassed of the podcast? Go.
75% embarrassed, 25% proud.
Oh, we're doing percentages.
You don't have
apparently.
to. I just wasn't for sure on both answers. So.
Can you repeat the question, though? I was making fun of my dad.
Embarrassed or proud of the podcast?
My dad, more proud than embarrassed.
But you embarrassed.
I feel like you don't embarrass me. I think you might embarrass Taylor a little bit.
Probably.
That's not a thing. You cannot embarrass me. It only gets worse at home, so this is nothing.
I don't know, man. I'm proud of you both.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So let me switch gears a little bit. I love that you're proud and embarrassed. I think we actually share that exact same feeling on most of our episodes. We're like, there's a bit of embarrassment and pride. And I think you're doing it right if that happens.
Yeah,
right?
agree.
So I want to shift gears just a little bit because we talk a lot about on the show about parenting. So it's obviously our point of view, right? So I'll start with you, Marlie. On a parenting, on a scale of 1 to 5, why is my parenting a 5? Or
why is Stevens a 1?
Go. Or so just in that obviously that was for the joke. But we talk a lot about our parenting. So, if you had to, and Stephen loves surveys. So I thought this is kind of a good survey question. If you had to rate our parenting on a 1 to 5 scale, and I'll just pull back and let you do it, but what would you rate it?
For you, I would rate it like a 3.
All right.
Maybe like a 2.5.
We don't do halves on this show, so let's commit to the 3.
What's the scale? What's a 5 and what's a 1?
Yeah. Well, it's
what's
just-
the reference?
I think it's the same as the scale we have
Just a
cans,
star?
right?
Just
So
a star
5 would
rating?
recommend
Yes,
to you.
Amazon star
would push on
rating.
your
Okay,
friends.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Amazon stars? Okay.
If you had to rate me on Amazon as for my parenting that I purchased, what would you give that? 3?
I would,
Maybe?
I would give it a solid 3. I mean, like, you are a good parent. You are doing your best to this day. You still, give me great advice and stuff. But I know when I was younger, I would have rated you a 1.
Which I think is winning, honestly. From a parental point of view, I think if I was rated 5 when you were younger, that means I'm like your friend, right? And I'm trying to do everything to make you happy and make you rate me high. But I was not great. Like customer service was not my intent necessarily. So that's good. I'll take it all day. I thought that would be funny to hear.
I know that I was like I don't want to say difficult kid, but I definitely wasn't like an easy child. So for me,
I
like
those mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those are just synonyms for those words.
So,
but
Finish thought.
my though's already gone is the problem.
you were a difficult child.
Yes, I was not an easy child because I'm you on all fronts. So you raising a mimic of you probably wasn't that easy. And I mean, we had our altercations, most definitely, which again, like happens, but
Sure.
I don't know. You raised me the best you could. I can't complain.
All right, Tay, how would
Yeah.
you rate your parentals?
I would rate my dad probably.
Only rate dad.
Only rate dad.
only rating dad.
Mom's not here right now,
Right.
so she doesn't get rated.
She'll be here later.
Right. I should have said just rate dad. I did say parentals. That's my fault.
I would say my dad's is a 5 for me. 1, because we are the same person, so he kind of got like where I was coming from a lot of the time, like when I was growing up. So we kind of like favored each other's side, and like he just understood me, so it was easier for me. And like I also feel like we think in very similar ways. So like my mindset was always like they're doing the best they can. Like this is their first time parenting me. Like this is their first time parenting, right? So just like having a deeper understanding of like everyone's living for the first time, I can side with my dad because he is the same mindset, right? So that's why I would rate mine a 5 because I feel like I had a really good childhood. So
I'm going to
Excellent.
take it. But I will say, it's weird because when you have kids, if one of them turns out exactly like you, it's a weird parenting situation because also you know what they're thinking, kind of. You know
Right.
the experience they have. You know they
You know
read
the thought
people.
process.
They read people the same way. They read situations the same way, and you're like, oh, I probably should warn you about this, but I would have never listened to me if I would have been talking to me from when I was your age. So I probably just have to learn this on my own. That's probably why parenting, I don't know. It's weird because you have a different dynamic. You both are hard-headed.
But we also have a different
Yes.
dynamic. 'cause I'm his
Strong-willed
first
is kind
kid.
of like
that is
Okay,
true.
that's what I mean.
it's a little bit
Beyond.
more polished word to use.
But I
Yeah.
agree with Marlie. It is different because I am the second child
Yeah.
and you are
And
the
I was
first
the
child.
firstborn.
So
I was
that
the
also
guinea
comes
pig.
into it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
A big factor.
I still love you though. I hope you know that.
Oh, that's great, and I love you too. So it's good to know that even like it'll be interesting to see. Like you still, the love is still there. Obviously, we're still a tight family, I think, and at the end of the day, we have each other's backs. But the fact that you don't always agree with me, fine, right? And I think we've talked about that on a couple episodes, right? That it's like, we know that there's going to be times when it's like, yeah, they don't necessarily like this, but we feel like it's the best. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it's going to go.
And to your point, though, my oldest kid was not able to make it, and she's not a kid anymore, so she's a grown adult because she has a job and she's out on her own. But adore her. I don't know that her rating would be the same as the oldest child.
Yeah.
And we were 20 years old when we had her, so if her rating was that, I would be super surprised because I
Right.
would not have rated myself a 5 or a 4. And there were times I probably wasn't a 3 or a 2. Like,
Right.
like we were 20 years old, right? So
Yeah.
I would
the best
expect her to
kid.
go, yeah, I was the, yeah, You were the first. We were making stuff up. We still are with Tay. It's just we make up stuff different.
Yeah. Fly by the seat of your pants,
yeah.
and then you
At
add
all
a
times.
So
change some kinks. The second one.
now the pressing questions.
Oh boy.
I do. Do you have a pressing question?
You and
or
I
you-
have the same pressing question. We figured that out.
Oh, you want to break it up a little bit with that? That's good because I had one other question about parenting, and that would we've maybe covered it, but like knowing what you know now, and it's just kind of an interesting. We've covered your thoughts on our parenting, knowing how you've grown up now, and you've looked ahead probably a little bit in your mind's eye to when you have kids, if you decide to have kids, because that is a decision whether you want to or not. And I'll never press upon you that I need grandchildren. I'm not that kind of person that goes, when am I going to have grandchildren? But should you decide to have children, what do you think you're going to do different, or what do you think that your primary objective, let's say, will be in raising your children?
So what do you take away from our parenting that you're going to either carry forward or go, I'm not doing it that way?
Or just on your own? I want to kind of leave it open to your interpretation of you're looking ahead to have kids and your parenting. What's important to you in parenting that, and then you can relate it back if you want to us, but it doesn't have to be about me. But just, how do you view parenting in the future?
Am I going first?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So growing up, as I said, I was a little difficult, so I got spanked a lot.
As you should.
Spanking is a thing.
Yeah.
True.
I got spanked. That's probably something I won't do with my kids. I feel like there's a different way to handle than physical punishment, but that's just my opinion. I know that at my job, 'cause I'm a lifeguard, and I have the children that I do have to yell at, that you can be stern with a kid and they'll still listen instead of hitting them on the booty.
You will get arrested if you hit those kids at work.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. Those are not your kids. Don't hit them.
Just a PSA from your Uncle Steve. I'm just saying, do not hit the kids at
That's
work.
a long time gone when other parents could punish their children. Tay?
I think I'll take a lot away from my parents the way they parented me personally. I liked the way they parented me. I thought they did a pretty good job, but I will be the opposite of your opinion. I will spank my children.
You do you,
I
Humchick.
will hit. No, I'm just kidding. I will not hit them. But I think personally, I've seen the benefit, not the benefits of spanking, but like you can tell a difference of like a kid who's been spanked and a kid who hasn't.
Yeah.
And not that I'm like, hit your kids. Like that's the only way. Because there's
Right.
obviously different ways because kids have grown up without spanking. But with the children in our family, I feel like we respond to spanking better. We need the fear. We need the fear of God put in our souls for us to listen because we are stubborn and we are just crazy.
Yeah.
So children need to have some fear in them, and that's
And
how
I
you
think
control
Some
them.
consequence. I think,
Yes.
when you're talking about
That's what it is.
you want to have the carrot piece and like try to prop them up and go do this and be their cheerleader. But when they are just so headstrong and they're like, I am not doing that, then sometimes consequences are going to be the other side of the equation, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're talking
And
about.
I think both of you are on the same track as I may not spank or I may spank, but your kids have to have consequences. You've
Yeah.
lived with
Absolutely.
a family of rules and consequences.
Yeah.
You've lived with a family of rules and consequences. You have to have consequences when you pay. I think both of you are kind of saying I may not spank,
Yeah.
but my kids aren't going to run around like Lord of the Flies, right?
Yeah.
Because if they are, they're not coming to my house.
Yeah.
And the analogy we always
I'm just
use,
saying.
the analogy we always use is just from a broader perspective is you got to keep them in the lanes.
Yep.
And and if you're like being their cheerleader to stay in the lane and they're doing it, well, that's great. You don't have there's no problem there. But kids want to be independent. They want to test things. They want to be like, I'm going to try this over here because it looks fun. And then sometimes they do that, but you got to punt them back into the lane. Awesome. All right. Let's get to the serious question now.
Agree.
All right, and we'll start with Tay on this one.
I don't think
Aliens. Have they visited Earth? Do you believe if aliens have visited Earth?
I believe in aliens. They have probably visited Earth. I don't know when or like what structures people are like, aliens built the pyramids or blah, blah, whatever. I don't know all about that, but I know that it's so selfish of us as human beings to think that we are the only living things in the entire galaxy, let alone the rest of space.
What percentage is it that aliens have visited
Have
Earth
landed
on this Earth? So we've established they exist.
87%.
Wow.
87%.
All right, so it's
87.56.
very in the realm of they have.
Yeah.
That's pushing that. All right.
See, I think it's more like 50-50 because I agree. I think most definitely that there are aliens out somewhere, and they probably call us aliens or have a different word for us or
I
something.
hope they think we're green.
Earth,
Right.
Earthsians.
And have big heads. Maybe they think we're Megamind. Who
They're
thought about
insects.
that?
They're creatures. Why do they walk on 2 feet? Why don't they use 4? I don't know.
So 50-50.
50-50. I think there are some things that I feel like we're not supposed to know about how the world works. And I feel like other worldly beings either have not come to Earth to make sure that we don't find that out because we can't like process it. We won't be able to understand it. Or they either are already here and
living among us.
they're like using us as like
Dun, dun,
research
dun.
tools. Like they're like, ooh, I'm, out
That's
in
what
this jungle and
scientists
I'm watching these
Aliens.
weird creatures and they do this habit and I don't know why yet. Like I just think either they're studying us or they're avoiding us to
Okay.
either
Either is
protect us
fair.
or
Yeah. You always think you're living in a simulation, so it
That
could
is
be
a
an
good
alien
thing.
simulation.
That
It's
could be
kind
a
of the thing.
very real possibility.
Hey.
We had an entire episode about are we living in a simulation? That was good. And we've had a couple of episodes where we've really tackled the alien question.
I was gonna say, if I got an alien controlling my simulation, fine by me. He's doing a great job.
Or she.
Hey, I got it.
Don't want to be sexist against the aliens.
Right. They are doing
They
fine.
might not even have genders.
That's
That's
true.
what I was
They are
about to
doing
say.
Or many.
There you go.
Ooh.
All right. So,
Hashtag Pride Month.
what do you have on your palette of questions?
So we've done a couple episodes around the lottery, and we've also done one around Happy Place. So I'm going to combine that. You win the lottery tomorrow, you get to go to a place. Where do you go? I'm going to go. My first dollar that I spend on my lottery is going to go. It has to be travel. This is my happy place. I'm going to go buy that happy place so I can always go to it. What's your happy place you buy?
Villa in Italy. I love Italy. I went once and now I want to go back. It's like an
Nice.
addiction. I'm like, I need it. I need to go back. But unfortunately, I'm poor, so I can't go back.
Someday.
Someday.
All right, yours is Italy. Good choices.
Thank you.
I think if it was a place I've already been, like that I know is my happy place that I go like consistently, I would buy the property that my grandparents have, like the lake. But if it's a place I haven't been, probably Bora Bora. Because
That's a good one.
so good. It's named twice.
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody just loves that place. So it's awesome.
All right. Anything else you have over there, Mr. Steven? You want to ask him if there's a suitcase full of $1 million with a note that says "Don't"?
Saving it for the wives.
Okay. All right.
You take it.
Let's see. All right. And yeah, I think I've covered most of what I have. Well, I feel like, do you have any things that you wanted to share?
Any burning questions?
Any questions? Any things that you're like, I just need to get this into the world?
Taylor, go first because I'm
Okay.
going to need a second to think.
My question would be, do you feel like this podcast has benefited your guys' life or taken away more? You can do percentage as well. You don't have to pick one side.
You want to go or you
Sure,
want me to go?
I'll take that one first. This has absolutely benefited my life in such a great way, and it will be something that I, at some point will look back on just very fondly, very Sharpie memory. When we talk about those, COVID sort of hit weird, right? And that, everybody gets thrown into this weird chaos of how do we deal with this? Something that hasn't been around for a long time. So, it took a while for everybody to sort of figure out what's going on. And, we took the opportunity a little bit later into COVID, but not too far into COVID, to say, how are we going to, still get together, still enjoy doing something that, we used to do before away from our house. And this had always been something that I wanted to do personally. And so this has been beyond some, I guess my expectation. It's been so much fun. I've been doing it with my best friend, so that's a bonus. And I think we've talked about so many fun things and so many good topics and had so much laughter. I mean, and that's, what I think sort of makes for the best memories, right? Is just being able to spend time with people that you love and being able to laugh with them. Now, we've been able to share it out, to the audience that, we've had, and that was part of what I wanted to do too with this podcast, is just say, hey, if you enjoy this, take from it what you will, but we're not going to press it on anybody. We're just going to have fun with it and enjoy it. Not try to make money off it. We never put a commercial on any of our episodes. So, we're doing it for the love of the game, man.
So I think mine is pretty similar in that there have been very few times that it's felt like work to come here and do this. Every once in a while, you're like, oh my God, I need a podcast. And I felt like I've needed a podcast topic. And I'm like, I should just, and there's been a couple times we just wing it. And I love those too.
Yeah.
But we've talked about some crazy do stuff on here. Like, it's been fun. And to Tay's point from earlier, I just appreciate the fact that, for one, you followed you're like, I have this desire. I always wanted to be on the radio. I have this kind of radio DJ desire in my heart. I want to fulfill that some way. And you figured out how to make that work, which is awesome. And I got to be a part of it. And so I got to share all my stories. I know my family has listened, and there's parts of the family who didn't know certain stories, and now they have. And they've been like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And so we've gotten to share stuff that I think will live on forever, that our kids and grandkids can look back on and go, that was pretty cool. Or where did dad or granddad think, where was marijuana laws back then? And you'd be like, well, this is where it was at. And, in 2022, 2023, they'll look back in 2042 and go, those people were idiots. Like, what? Look what they were griping about. It will be interesting for them to go back and see our perspective from that time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on something that I didn't really say, but one of the things that we talked about when we started this was that not only will it be for the present, but that we're solidifying hours of our own thoughts and humor and all of that for potentially our kids when they are older, and then maybe their kids, however that is. So I guess my question, because it's kind of an interesting question, is I know right now, at your age, you're doing your own thing, but, this is going to be saved. This will be there. So 20 years, not to be morbid, but 20 or 30 years from now or longer, when maybe, we're gone, do you think you'll go back and save, or maybe listen to this again, having that?
I think I will. As long as we have the technology to listen to it, and I don't have to go buy some ancient like
an 8-track player to plug this thing into.
I don't
gotta put it in the CD.
Right.
To think about it a while ago, where I don't know. I'm sure people made podcasts and put them on CDs, and I mean there aren't a lot of CD players anymore. So it's interesting to think in 20 years, will I even have the technology to listen to it? And if I do, I would love to.
I think I have a similar opinion, and I think I feel like people will always invent things so you can dig up from the past. I feel like we put it on a hard drive, a couple of our favorite episodes, and just save those. But I do think I'll listen to it, especially after you guys are dead, for sure. Maybe not while y'all are alive.
That's our voice from the grave.
Yeah, and not to be silly morbid, right? But both my parents died.
Being serious morbid.
Serious morbid.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of recordings of my, if I could go play back what my mom and dad thought about certain things, that'd be cool.
Or just hearing the voice, right?
Hear their voice, see their facial expressions.
Yeah. And things like that you don't get, cool. Right? You don't get in pictures. You can get them in videos, but it's not exactly the same because it's only that snippet of time, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is a really cool aspect that not everybody obviously gets, but
cool.
We shall have.
Excellent.
If you're watching this in the future.
All right. Anything else before we rate?
Yeah, my turn.
Okay.
So I know you guys have been friends for a ridiculous amount of time,
40 million years to be
literally
exact, with dinosaurs.
28 years.
That's a long time to be friends and to call yourself best friends too. Did this podcast
Besties.
bring you closer as friends? And this is kind of a two-parter question. I know you guys talk a whole bunch. I mean, even before this podcast, you guys would hang out bi-weekly or sometimes weekly on the same day. did you guys learn anything new about yourselves, or was it more like this is already something that we've talked about that we want to re-talk about and like reestablish like our thoughts with the other person? Just kind of like, how did it affect your dynamic?
For one, super great question.
Yeah.
Go.
You would like me to start?
I can start if you want. Do you want me to start?
That doesn't bother me at all. I started the last couple. I don't want to feel like I'm always have
I'll
to go
give you
first.
time to think. I think when we used to meet, when we used to meet to play Golden Tee every other Thursday, we would touch on weird topics. And then we would be in the middle of eating and having a couple drinks, and then we'd talk about stuff, and then we'd play Golden Tee, and then we'd be gone. Same amount of time that we spend on this podcast, we played Golden Tee and ate. And so in the same amount of time, now we focus on like where we stand with certain things. So I think we've actually gone quite a bit deeper on certain topics, which has been interesting to go. We're very similar in the way we think, kind of that old school conservative mindset. On probably the angry white guy. I don't know what that is, that mindset is, but yeah, so I think we are very similar. We always think we're pretty similar, but I think we've gotten deep enough on topics where we've gone, we don't agree on that, or we're off on this, which is kind of interesting. I don't think we ever got there during Golden Tee because it was more high level. We were covering 5 or 6 high level topics and playing some Golden Tee. Whatever happened in the week at work, like, how's your week? Oh, it sucked. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. And so now we like focus on stuff. So I think we've gone deeper, which has been kind of interesting to kind of delve into our thoughts at a deeper level, or why do you feel this way? Or why do you feel like aliens don't exist? Or why they haven't been here? Like, so we've gone like deep on some like religion and politics and some other stuff that I think is kind of interesting.
Do you think that'll continue like after podcast days? Like if this podcast like ends at some point, do you think you're gonna still go as deep and still hang out like you usually do?
I think there's part of me that thinks it might be nice to not go as deep sometimes and just cover what's going on in the week. There's part of me that misses the old days where you go, let's just go like have a little weekly therapy and go, I want to go gripe about stuff and get it off my chest. There's some of me that will go, I will miss when we quit, it'll be like, I kind of miss like having something funny that we go, let's talk about this for an hour and like dig deep and laugh about how stupid it is. And those are fun. Like this has been entertaining
for sure.
So
just to kind of pick up a little bit, I think to your point, when we were not on microphone and we were at a bar, it was definitely a therapy session very early on because, we had our families together essentially, right? Like you guys grew up and we were as friends. We always talked about the fact that, and nothing against you lovely ladies, but it was just us as the males in our house. And we were like, at some point we're going to need to get an apartment that is our bomb shelter, because we're going to be the ones that are on the outs and we might need a place to go hang out. But really that's kind of what we were doing, right? Is just kind of getting away from work, getting away from family. And a lot of what we were talking about was a lot of family stuff. Yeah. I think, we would, hey, this is what's going on in my house, because we were right in the thick of it, right? Trying to raise the kids and try to.
You guys were young, right? When we started that trend.
Yeah. And
teens and teeny boppers.
And career was, was much more in its infancy. So we were like trying to figure out, career stuff. So a lot of that was happening. Then I think we sort of morphed, where we started talking about, we bring an agenda. So these types of topics, which is sort of the genesis of the idea of, hey, we could put this on a recording and see if anybody wants to listen. And then we can talk about it ourselves. So yes, it's been fantastic, that, metamorphosis, if you will, or that growing into that. I agree too, is that, when this is all done, we'll still be hanging out, and I think we'll still be talking. I think it'll be probably more again, maybe family stuff. Also, we're talking about retirement down the way. We're talking about older people stuff, So there's no shortage of stuff to talk about, I think, and to grow, because I think it is a growing, and it's just kind of bouncing things off each other and seeing what where we want life to take us. So we'll never stop. It just depends on whether we stop the cameras and the microphone.
And there'll be some point somebody will be like, hey, why don't you old men talk about retirement stuff? And we'll be like, you know what? We probably should start the podcast. Up again. Who knows?
Who knows?
Come back in
But yeah,
phases.
so much fun. But yeah, really good question.
Thank you.
You guys have any
Awesome.
any other questions? You don't
I
have
can
to.
think of. No.
All right.
So.
Well, let's rate this beer.
Okay.
See how we like it.
So left hands,
Those
French
who-
toast.
those who
we
brought.
brought it. We have to rate it first.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
1 through 5.
I would say 1.
Are you not going to finish it?
No, I'm not going to finish it. I don't like milk stouts. Never have. Probably never will. It is
What's the flavor
is
like
a-
to you?
not a good one. I'll tell you that much.
What's it taste like in your mouth? What's the?
You.
I'll
talk
rate.
what
You think about it. So it's definitely a milk stout. There is not as much French toast as I would have wanted it to
Agree
be.
to agree.
And so I would have gone, oh, if it was heavy in French toast and light in milk stout, I've been all over this thing because I love French toast and I don't like milk stout. It's probably 95 milk stout and then 5 French toast. That's not a great percentage for me.
It's not for
So
me.
for
either.
me, it's a 2. I will finish this and not drink another. So a 1 would be you're not going to finish it. A 0 is you threw up because of it. A 3 is if it's in the fridge, you'll keep drinking it. You'll buy some occasionally and put it in your fridge. A 4 is you're going to seek it out and buy it. A 5 is you're going to push it on your friends. So it's the White Russians of our.
Yeah.
Like I push White Russians on everyone. So
That
that's a
is true
5.
fact.
All right.
So where are you at? Where are you? I need to
I'm at a solid 1 because
Okay.
of the lack.
you stayed at
The
1.
lack of French toast. I think it tastes almost as like a coffee taste that I'm just like, this is not what it's supposed to be. I was expecting French and then toast. And I've got neither of those two things.
French
So-
and it's not toast.
That's exactly. So definitely 1. If I would have drank it faster, it could have been a 0. So I could have thrown up. But chose to
Glad you
not.
did not do
I
that.
like
Thank you
I
for
don't
not
know if
doing
you can
that.
see on there, but I like gagged a little every time I took a sip because I felt like I still needed to taste it. But so don't mind that.
We've had a couple ones. It's okay.
It's not.
All right, Miss Marley.
Mine is also a 1. It just tastes burnt. Like, it just like I took the first sip and all I could think was like, is this burnt toast?
I
Like,
feel like the first sip wasn't bad, but then every sip after that was like, Lord, have
Marlene's
mercy.
still on the first
the
sip.
first no, I have had like 4 sips. I don't know. The first sip was bad, and then I kept sipping, and I was like, it's not getting any better. So I don't think it's gonna be
It
worth
can only go downhill after
Yeah.
the first sip.
Okay. So you're at a 1.
it. I am also at a 1.
All right, so we have
Unfortunately, I was
2
really
1s and a
wanting to
2, right? You're a 2. You said?
I'm a 2.
Okay. All right. So I'm last here. So what's interesting is I forgot that it was French toast based. In its
That's
name.
how little French toast is in it, isn't it?
True. Yes. I don't know what about it is the French toast. Like I don't. It
Nothing.
said caramel.
Nothing.
And if you're, I say
Caramel.
caramel. Some
It's
people say caramel.
caramel.
So I have a hint of that caramel, but not a lot. I actually kind of dig on some of the full flavorness of it. When we have had beers, we tend to like some of the lighter stuff because it's, we can drink a little bit more of it without feeling full.
Does it taste better? Oh.
And there is more flavor sometimes, but it also, some of those heavier beers just get really filling, right? And then you kind of feel like bloated and stuff. So we tend to like those flavorful beers that don't come with that, and I have not gotten that from this. So I like the flavor. I don't know that it matches the billing of it being a French toast. So if they maybe named it something else, I would. If someone gave me another one of these, I would drink it. So I'm a 3.
Cool.
I'm going to finish the can. So it's not bad in my opinion. It doesn't taste burnt, but I can see.
Maybe I just got a faulty one.
Well, it's just it's very
Maybe
full
it's just
flavor.
gross.
That stout,
Yeah,
that stout
it's a
flavor,
stout
is
flavor.
what that is. It's that
Really?
thickness and
Yeah. That's why
But
they're
you're
not
right.
good.
It's
Agree.
it's falsely labeled,
Right.
and they need to fix it left hand.
Immediately.
I
if
don't
not
put
sooner.
caramel on my French toast, right? It's just like a
Right.
little powdered sugar and a little syrup.
You should
Apparently,
try
these people
caramel on
don't
your
put French
toast.
toast on their French toast.
I'm saying.
Right. But hey, it's interesting. Maybe they thought that would sell more cans. But it's a 3 for me.
Awesome.
All right. Well, did you guys have fun?
I did. I had a lot of fun.
Yes,
Good.
me too.
All right. Well, I'm super glad we had you on. Again, one for the books. This is quite a wild episode. So hang with us, people listening and watching. This is 2 sections down. We have one more section to go. So we're going to take a bit of a small break. In your world, it'll be just a couple seconds. And then we'll be right back with our wives. Bye.
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 All right. So we are back again. Just a few seconds, hopefully, for those that are listening. If all is working well with our technical pieces here. And we are now on the 3rd phase of this particular episode. Again, episode number 99. So we're doing a little something special and bringing those who we love the most on to join us and tell us everything that we've done well and gotten wrong in our particular podcast here, and then just some other fun questions about life in general to have fun with our family. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show Miss Jennifer.
Hello.
And Miss Laura.
Hello.
All right. So how excited are you guys? I'll start with Laura. Are you excited to be on the show? Is this everything that you thought it was going to be?
And more. I'm so incredibly stoked to do this. I just can't contain myself.
Way to be genuine.
And I don't feel like we forced you on here. I mean, there have been a couple of times you're like, hey, I think we may, it'd be great to have us on because it's only really the one-sided opinion sometimes, which I started the show with. I mean, part of the introduction was that we've done 98 episodes, right? And so we've said a lot from our point of view. And oftentimes you guys have to wait, right? And I publish it and you listen with everyone else and you have to react to it, but just to yourself or, not in real time. And there are times that you've come home and said, hey, here's my thoughts on this particular episode. So we're going to get a little bit into that. Okay. So that's what we're looking forward to, but we need a can to do it, right? Because that's part of the show and something that we just need to have to ingest some fun beverage here. So let me do the movie line. I picked out Special and then the walk-on music and we'll do the can. All right.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream. Then love, true love, will follow you forever. So treasure your love.
Skip to the end.
Have you the wing?
Man and wife. Say man and wife.
Man and wife.
All right, so I'll take any guesses as to what movie that is from. I usually make very good, excellent. Get the ding on that, and all right. So, if you've watched that movie enough, can you tell me a little fun fact? Did you notice anything about that particular clip
from the movie?
Yeah. It's not in sequential necessarily order. There's a lot that's happening between some of those lines that he does. With Andre the Giant coming in as the on fire, right? So I actually spliced together all just the
Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread Pirate Roberts. So I
come to
spliced
take
all
your
those
soul
together because he's one of my favorite characters in that movie, the priest. So hope you enjoyed that. So we brought the can, and I say we, because you guys, Tay and you brought the last can. So Laura actually brought this can or gave it to us to have on an episode, and we chose to use it on this. So what did you give us to have?
It's a Crown Royal lemonade whiskey. I like anything lemonade, and whiskey's really good, so I figured it'd be delicious.
I couldn't have said it better. Plus, you said it was a limited time offer, which it does say here on the can. It is 7% alcohol by volume.
I thought you were going to let the guests do that.
Well, I tried to serve it up there, and I thought, well, maybe I'll help a little bit. You want to tell us how many Florida
I think
ounces it
Jen
is?
should say some stuff too. You asked me if I was excited and then just skipped right over Jen.
It's 12 Florida ounces.
Jen, are you excited?
I am excited.
I thought I asked.
Also, I just want to say that this sounds like it might be good for a summer drink, which it is the beginning of.
Exactly.
So
Good on a boat.
In a moat.
nice
With a
afternoon
goat.
drink.
All right, so 12 Florida ounces, a whiskey lemonade made by Crown Royal. We've had a couple, I think we've tried one or two from Crown Royal. I know we did their cola, I believe, and whiskey. And then off air, I know I've had a few of their other ones. I think they have apple and a couple other flavors. So have been good in the past. All right, well, let's jump into it while we enjoy this. So I'll start with Jen since I accidentally apparently skipped you, but I thought you said something about being excited.
I am.
And then Princess Bride. I knew you would get a kick out of that.
I love that movie.
So let me just start with a good softball of, let's not get straight into what maybe we got wrong, but what's your favorite part about this podcast? Because you guys are really probably our number one, I would say number one fans, in that we get to interact with you the most. You listen to all the episodes, and then usually give us some thoughts on those.
I have listened.
So we'll start with Jen.
I've listened to the episode.
So I think it's interesting just because I know that you guys used to go to a bar and have your drinks together and have your own conversations, and then you would say, oh, these are conversations we should share with other people. And now you're actually doing it, so which kind of means that we get to like sit in and listen to your conversations. So, because inevitably, like the conversations you used to have, we didn't hear the whole thing.
Right.
It would be like snippets of things. Oh, this was really funny that we talked about or whatever. But it wouldn't be like the whole thing. And then this is. So I think it's interesting. We get to like sit on your shoulder and listen.
Be a part without being a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of times I remember, I've hit this probably more than a couple times, but I would come home and Laura's like, hey, how did it go? It went well. What'd you guys talk about? Stuff.
I don't know.
And she's like, you were there for like 3 hours.
Right.
You had to have talked about something. I'm like, we did, but I don't know if I could rehash the entire thing.
Right.
But so what's your favorite part?
I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing. I feel like a conversation between Steven and Andrew is like a hidden treasure. You don't get funny conversation like that all the time. And so it's a little insight to your interactions with each other. And then everybody else gets to enjoy it. When you started this, that's what I said. My favorite thing about it is when the two of you just talk to each other, because you get to hear what just comes naturally to the two of you, which is sarcasm and good conversation, but with intellect in there. And it's very entertaining that way. I can also yell at both of you without actually having to yell at both of you. When I hear you say something that's incorrect, I can yell at my radio as I'm listening to it. So that always helps too. Then I'm not the bad guy.
All right. Very thoughtful answer. I love it and appreciate it. I'm going to dovetail a little bit because, knowing that you guys listen to a lot of the content and knowing that a lot of the content is about our lives, and we often talk about marriage pieces, parenting pieces, things in that nature. So you guys come up fairly often. So I'll start with Laura on this one. Do you feel like you've been fairly represented in our discussions?
I do. I don't feel like you bring me up unless it's just in a positive view, which I can say is fair. But the reality is there's a lot more than what you guys are talking about. But fair, sure. I think you focus mostly on the stuff that makes you laugh or the stuff that is a positive about what we are or you are. But there's other stuff too. So I'm grateful.
We'll get to that other stuff in the
about.
next couple questions, or anything that you might want to bring up. But Jen, do you have any thoughts? You feel like you've been fairly represented?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes I'm like, no, that didn't really happen that way, and things like, oh, I probably really wouldn't act like that. But then, maybe I would. I don't know. When you hear something about yourself, sometimes you want to make it sound better than it really maybe actually. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I think I'm nicer than that. But
We've had a lot of conversations about being self-aware too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe you should
I'm not quite always there.
Re-listen to those episodes. Just kidding.
So,
All right. So great kind of segue then one more level, and then I'll kind of jump off. We can go into more other fun topics, but there have been times when when we've interacted about an episode and you've said, I'm pretty sure you got that wrong. Is there any that pop to mind? I think, setting the record straight, and if there's nothing because I got everything right, that's a good answer too.
You didn't get everything right. My brain does not remember all of the. I mean, of course, there are things that I felt were inaccurately represented, but I don't think there's anything that really stuck out. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, there's more inaccurate things that I remember you saying about yourself than saying about me.
Funny, I think Elaine would very much agree with that based on her segment of this podcast. Anything in particular that maybe, feel free. We got time, here we're enjoying this whiskey lemonade.
Whiskey lemonade.
No, you be open and transparent. This is it will entertain me. I don't think there'll be anything.
Do we want to ask Jen the question first before we?
Yeah, let's get Steven in trouble first.
Right, sure. No, I would say this. You're a lovely man, but the idea that
This
you
is what
are
I
the
want.
most self-aware of all of us is a little, well, not a little. It's inaccurate. It just is. It's inaccurate, and I love you for thinking that you are, but you're not. So there's not really anything in particular. It just is knowing you. I've known you 25 years.
What am I the least self-aware about? And we can start, and we can go to come back if you want.
I think we're good. You guys, you're good.
I mean, the most inaccurate about yourself. You are a very regimented person. I know you like to say that you don't like change, or that you go with change. Change is fine. We can go with you don't like change, and
Love the tone.
Structure works best for you. Structure
I
is
don't
your
disagree
friend.
with that.
Rules are your friend. Normalcy and everyday things are your friend. That's a nice way to say it, right? I think it's a nice way to say it.
Excellent. It's well put.
Easily. Jen, how are you over there about this?
I'm going to sum that up for you as patterns and efficiency. He likes patterns and
Yeah.
efficiency.
Yeah. Does. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't disagree.
True.
But his patterns and efficient things that he has patterns and it makes it efficient for him is what.
Yeah, and the only thing I think I will say, because we've had this conversation quite a lot in the many years that we've been together, when it comes to change, the only thing I like to try to clarify sometimes on behalf of myself is that I don't like change just for the sake of change. And I feel like sometimes, more so in work, not in our marriage necessarily, but a lot of times in corporate America, people will just say, we need to change. Or in politics too, right? We just need a change because change, right? And so I don't always think that we should just change for the sake of there being change. So yeah, maybe those are my blinders. Maybe that's where maybe I can open them up a little bit. That's fine. So I understand what you're saying completely, and I don't disagree necessarily.
And not to cut you off before you start talking, but I will say I do appreciate the upgrade of your system
The touch
operation
software.
for touch software. That was greatly appreciated. The girls and I are very much enjoying getting hugs voluntarily. And you trying to read the emotionality of the room when you walk in. It was a good upgrade. I enjoyed it. So
all right.
All right. So Jen, if you forgot the question,
What is the question?
I don't even know anymore.
it was really sort of that sort of end segue to say, you talked about, I talked or asked about being fairly represented, but then and it sounds like you were, but there's sort of those times where I think we've said some things that either one or both of you are like, I just think that might be sort of wrong. So if do you remember any times when you've been listening and you've gone, what? That's just wrong.
My wife never forgets mistakes.
That's
Do you have a
not true.
list?
No, I don't have a list. No, lots of the things I think that Steven has gotten wrong is more like remembering things because he's not great at details with that. And so he'll be like, oh, we were so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, that's not where we were. But the gist of the story is usually, perceived correctly. It's just some of those details aren't quite right. But, that's really all I can think of that I'm like, that's really, really wrong.
But there were some at the time, though. Didn't you listen? And there were some?
Yeah, just like
I can't think of it.
I could not bring up one particular episode that would be. I was like, they're totally wrong on this. But just.
Well, that's good. We didn't go far enough off the rails.
Yes,
that it was
correct.
like I cannot wait for this episode to happen.
I follow the 80-20 rule kind of a lot with my stories. Is 80% of it's accurate, 20% of it's embellished in some way because I don't rember all the details.
Probably not even that much.
So it's like the 60-40 rule.
This is a great example right now because had you been listening separately and he said 80-20.
Yeah, we're like, no.
That's not quite there. We did a lot of
He wants
percentages with the college ladies. So if you wish to talk in percentages, feel free because they started that. 75% embarrassed, 25% proud.
Yeah, that was
I gotcha.
that was your
Okay.
child.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, and Stephen, if you want to ask that question, because were you going to ask that to them as well?
Sure.
All right, go for it.
So, proud versus embarrassed about this podcast that we did this podcast. You can do it in percentages because that's what our child did earlier. Is like 25% this versus 75% this. Or are you proud or embarrassed of this? That like Andrew's like, I need to do this podcast. It's something I've wanted to do, and we sat down and did it 99 episodes later.
I would say I am more proud than embarrassed. I think maybe one episode, now that I'm thinking about it a lot, that I would be like, he kind of went off on a tangent on that. And I think you might know the tangent episode with having vaccines.
Yes.
That you went on, and I was like, that went off the rails a little bit. So, not that it was like invalid or whatever, but it was kind of like, okay, we get your point. We got it. Okay. But I mean, other than that, like, I'm not embarrassed about it really whatsoever.
So he made the point emphatically and then kept kicking the horse a couple
I just kept
extra
thinking,
times.
okay, we got it. You can shut it down now.
I was 100% with it. I think I was yelling with Steven when I listened to it.
When sometimes you bring up people you're related to, you think, maybe that's where we should back off a little bit.
I have a lack of filter
understand that.
sometimes, and that lack of filter has gotten me in trouble a couple of times on this podcast about calling people out or talking about, certain people.
It's gotten you in trouble. It's gotten me. You have gotten me in trouble with my parents.
Right.
Our Mother's Day conversation was very interesting because of you. Thank you.
It's all based on like me. And they should just call me because I would volunteer.
I told them to.
Yeah,
it was guilt by association just because.
I don't think it's necessarily even lack of filter. It's something that you get either passionate about or like you're passionate about the negative part of whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like he's like, why?
But I don't think you need a filter for something that you feel that way about.
So,
I think you should be able to say that
like,
kind of
just
stuff.
You don't need 10 examples.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe just
I will
three.
The thought of simmer down comes to you. Simmer down.
We had an hour to fill.
Yeah.
I will kick a dead horse if I get passionate enough. I will kick it a lot.
But I don't think I've ever thought that either of you have ever gone so far where I'm like, holy, you got you that, take it out, rewind that one.
Yeah.
But
even the infamous never aired episode, I think was not
was
as bad as
funny.
it could have been.
No.
Like perceived by the two of you, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that also in the previous segment and how that episode ended up. But I think we did it justice by coming back to it and doing that same topic again, just not quite as loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded as in the question, or loaded as in you loaded
Alcohol
the people?
content. It was we did a bonus episode, and we were it was after doing 2 other episodes with cans, yes, and then some additional alcohol thrown in.
You
the
want to
mix.
talk about kicking a dead horse? I went around the outside on that dead horse.
Around the outside.
I just
Around the
kept
outside.
kicking. Wow.
All right.
Love the lovely ladies back up singing.
So, did you want to answer that one too? More. Are you proud, embarrassed, in between?
Okay, I'll say this and then add the caveat. I've never been embarrassed of you. There have been times that you've done stuff and I've gone, oh my God, this is too much. Rein it in. But I think anytime you take something that you're passionate about and give it a whirl, I'm all for it. I mean, look, I've owned my bakery for 15 years-ish. And how many times have I banged my head against the wall trying to make it work, or trying to figure out a better way to do it, or you just keep going and you plug at it, and it may not always be the best. It may not be, an A+ out of the park all the time. But I think the fact that you keep going back and doing over and over again, I think that there's nothing to be embarrassed about that.
Okay.
But that's how I feel about myself.
Just
so.
for the record, I hope your kids get this out of that, is that both of you have kind of gone a little bit heads down on your passions. You should do that. Like you've gone after something that's not always been easy, or not always you've known a whole lot about. Opening bakery, like starting a podcast, like you didn't know anything about radio or all this equipment and all this stuff, and you're like, let's do this. Okay, let's go headlong into it, and we'll figure it out as we go. That's a life lesson. I hope they get that.
I think it's a double-edged sword with the girls, honestly. Like, I think I said this to you the other day when you were here for the podcast. I said, I like that they may fail at something. They need to fail at things. Everybody needs to fail at stuff, so you learn how to keep doing it and going after it. And then I said, I didn't fail at stuff. Everything I did it until I got it right. Like, and it wasn't failing. I just did. And I made a joke that said, why are my kids failing at stuff? Like, I didn't fail. I never failed. But that is my personality. Andrew, right? I'm totally self-aware. But I was that kind of person where I didn't think anything was a failure. I just didn't do it 100% perfect the first time. But I think Andrew and I are kind of that people. We grew up that way. We both left at 18 and never looked back, and that was just it, and we had to figure it out. But I think the double-edged sword of that is we also made a life that was easier for our daughters and gave them more than what we had, and their comfort level is different than what our comfort level was, and their level of where they see failure is different than what our level of failure was for us. So for failing for them, they know they have a net to fall back on. It's not really a true failure. We're not ever going to leave you out there alone, ever. And I think he and I, no offense to all the parents listening, but I think he and I always felt that we kind of were on our own. We had to do it. We had to make it work, or it wasn't going to work. So I don't know. I think maybe that's a difference in our personalities too than our kids.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have, not to beat a dead horse,
Sorry
but I
for
have
that
one
tangent.
more question about marriage, but this is strictly for Jen because we don't really do this. And it's been an ongoing sort of,
I know what this
it's
is.
an ongoing point or joke or something. It's not really a
Rating
joke.
System.
But now let me ask, what are your true feelings on the date night marriage survey?
No, I actually think it is a good thing. When, like he loves to say, life and with relationships or anything really is ebbs and flows. And, sometimes you're high and then sometimes you're low and then sometimes you're just in the middle. But then the person you're with isn't always on the same wavelength that you are. And if you have the ability to say, hey, I'm not there with you, then we can stop and talk and say, hey, what's it going to take for us to kind of be more in the middle with each other? And, so it doesn't, I think it's a good thing.
I'm not. I'm not trying to steer you in one direction.
You're judging by your voice. Just saying.
No, the more communication you can have with your partner
True.
for any kind of relationship, if it's just your friend or your spouse or your child or your parent, and the more communication you feel like comfortable talking about your own feelings and how you are feeling about that particular relationship, the better I think that relationship's going to be.
Excellent point. No, I was just, and I'll let you hear in just a second. I'm not anti the survey. It just always makes me laugh because it's so regimented, or feels a bit regimented. But and that's why I give him a little trouble because he loves the surveys and he loves getting feedback, and it's.
Oh yeah, he does love a survey. That's 100% true. Although when we do have our date nights, we don't always every time say, it's every week.
Survey time.
It's not every time we're like, okay, so how is it going?
Right.
Where are you rating? Sometimes it's just like we just vent about other stuff that's happening in our lives if we think we're doing okay,
Sure.
And we treat it like this podcast sometimes too, in that you bring an agenda, I'll bring an agenda of the things we want to talk about, and just topics. And I go, I want to cover this. I'm not feeling like we're on the same page. Great. Or, kids aren't going great right now. I don't feel like we're on the same page parenting. Let's talk about that. I feel like we're off the mark. Like we do that too, where it's not really a survey.
Excellent.
Right.
When did you start doing that?
When our marriage almost failed, after we were about 7 years in, and we decided it was, if we don't have better communication and meet every week and talk about where we're at, we're not going to make it.
I don't think I realized that you guys did the survey or the talking about it so much that early. I assumed that once Morgan was gone and Taylor was kind of halfway out the door, I'm like, oh my, this is great for them. They finally get time for the two of themselves. No. I did not realize that it was that early. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 27 years this year. And I would guess at about the 7-8 year mark, we about didn't make it. And from that point on, we had date nights every week, or at least tried to have date nights every week. And we had these types of discussions. Like they became really important.
Yeah. We were really lucky in the fact that we got to use PSR as our date night because both of our kids were in PSR at the time, so we didn't have to worry about a babysitter for either of the children, and then we had that hour and a half or whatever it was.
Dump your kids at church and then go have self-therapy.
Yeah. That's the reason we should go to church.
Yeah.
We could have gotten free time.
Daycare.
It's not free.
It would definitely
PSR costs us a ton.
Oh, it doesn't cost anything at the Lutheran church.
Yeah,
you just sign up for the
better
class.
Catholics.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we
for
95 reasons why we're better.
Listen to this.
To that.
Call me. Do not ruin another holiday with Andrew.
All right. So excellent. Now I'll throw it to you. You have some fun questions.
So we have a bunch of episodes that I go back to. I went back to recently and have been perusing through, and I forget that we've done so many. And so there's been pressing questions during those episodes. The biggest one is, aliens have visited us, yes or no?
For sure, yes.
100%
have been here and are here still now. Yeah. I'm with you.
Still
you
residing.
You and I are on the same page. Same page.
You can do percentage. What percentage of do you think it's that
like
aliens have
been
to the Earth? From your Catholic perspective.
I really don't believe that aliens have been to the Earth.
What is that? Zero?
What's the percentage?
Zero. I do believe there is a possibility of aliens and that they're somewhere.
What
but I don't
percentage do you
think
believe
they're
there's a
here
possibility?
or even were here before.
Are they with Noah?
Oh.
So just to summarize here, because I think you and I are on the same page.
We are on this.
We are not so full of ourselves as humans to think that there's not some life out on the planets or in the universe.
Correct.
But we don't necessarily think they have somehow found their way to this little blue planet.
No, I don't think they have.
All right. Yes.
I don't.
They are here. They are here. They are here. All right.
They are.
So. There you go.
There are theories in life that you marry your opposite. And there are also theories that you find friends that are very similar to you in different ways. And Laura and I have found that we have been very similar in a lot of ways, and that we married people that seem like they're fairly similar in a lot of ways as well. I don't know if you're picking up on that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not, just know Aliens is not the only way that they're regimentedly serious about like structure and order and facts.
Definitely, I like structure. I'm not as rigid with like things being in their place as Andrew is.
Our house is trash.
I like how you looked right at him when you said that.
Our house is not trash, but some people don't put away stuff, and I don't necessarily feel like it's my responsibility to pick up after a grown person every day of my life. So there's that.
Love it.
Did you want to hear any more? No, I'm just kidding.
I do. Please tell me more.
I think we're good.
I love it.
What else you got, Andrew?
No, give us another one.
Is this on me?
Yeah.
Okay. Quick one. Episode 2, bathroom habits.
Oh, Lord.
I loved episode.
Okay. That was the answer I was looking for.
The question, though, I think that you were trying to put out: should we have or shouldn't we have?
And I got the.
I loved it.
100% on board, or not on board, and yes on board.
The disturbing fact of episode 2 was that you don't actually wash your feet.
And that you let gravity handle it. Do you not?
No, but we took care of that. We got the foot scrubbers for him.
We did.
I'm just saying, as much as the politics issue has caused you problems, the gravity-fed foot cleaning has caused me problems in our house. Jennifer's like, gravity doesn't clean stuff. Gravity's not a thing. It doesn't scrub. I'm like, I get it.
That's true.
True facts.
That is true. The goddess soap, though, I did enjoy that. That used the goddess smelling.
Goddess is a flavor.
So
Or is it
the flavor.
a fragrance or whatever.
I used the flavor goddess. Oh,
that was good.
It's a smell.
Okay, so we talked about happy places a lot. We talked about vacationing and all that good stuff. I'd love to know what your happy places are. So we talked about, like, we all have our own happy places. Where you go, like, it's your church. I've got a place that's my church. Or, like, it's the place that you go, I'm the most relaxed and at ease at. Where's your happy place?
Are you going or me go?
You go.
All right. I have two. One's fairly cheesy and one is, they're both true, though. A place that I go for instant comfort is to Andrew. If Andrew's sitting on the couch or laying in bed or someplace that I can snuggle in, that's a very safe and secure place for me. Someplace that I will always feel at home and my soul is happy with.
And that's the touch software upgrade. That's
right.
I'm
Exactly.
with you.
The second place by far is the Smoky Mountains. I love water. I love the sun. I love the beach. I love all of that stuff. But the Smoky Mountains is my home. We get there and it is instant de-stress, happy. And every time, I could probably tear up now. I cry when we leave. Every time. I feel like I'm leaving the place that is the closest to my heart for anything, above anything else.
So
I don't know what that meant.
Mine are two as well. Next to Steven is the sorry.
Ditto.
It's as far away from that dude as possible.
No. But actually my happy place is just the beach. I just whenever I get to the beach and the waves are going and the sand, it just I don't know, it makes me feel like peaceful.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't matter where that beach is. Because I'm not really swimming in the ocean. I'm going to put my feet in the little bit that washes on the shore. But so
that's a power washer for your feet right there.
Just the sound and the smell. That's my happy place. So, yeah.
I think those things change as you get older too.
Mm-hmm.
Things change. Like I'm finding myself wanting to be closer to my family. When my girls were young, I wasn't a great parent when my kids were little. I didn't do that well. I didn't want them on me all the time. And it just wasn't something I was comfortable with. Now as an adult, I'm like, please don't leave. and I need to go to the grocery store. Do you need anything? I'd love for you to come with me. So I think over time too, you find small comforts in places when you can't go to like the Smoky Mountains or to the beach or someplace that's a large comfort for you. You find the small comforts every day to make up for that. And I think it changes as you get older too. Because when I was younger, I would be like, oh, hanging out with my friends, sit outside, Stephen, bring a guitar, have a few drinks. And that, well, you know what? That's a really good point too, Stephen. Because like when you're here and playing your guitar, I am more happy than I'm happier than almost any other time just to sit and listen. It's that kind of stuff. I don't think of every day, but it is a happy place or a happy time, something I find comfort in.
I find comfort in it too. It makes my brain easy. Like sitting down on a back patio and just not caring about anything and just playing listen to music, hanging out with friends, like just chill. Let your brain relax from the day of nonsense and just chill out. Yeah.
As long as we don't drink too much and Jen hits me in the mouth. Because that has happened, and I don't recall if I've told that.
That happened. I only punched you once
in its completeness, but I will say, just for those who maybe are hearing it for the first time, I did ask for it. It was early on. We were young. We drank too much, and all hanging out and on the back porch. And I was like, "Hey, if you want to stay in the game, right? Then you just kind of got to slap." And I'm like, "Go ahead, do it to me." And yeah, she roundhouse. Boom.
Yeah.
Closed-fisted. I'll never forget. I asked for it.
I did.
Believe me, I didn't even get upset. I was like, wow.
That's what I came up with.
Right.
You really didn't get upset. And that was the best part of the whole thing is you're like, holy crap, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that?
I was talking about a little slappy, and you full on hit me. I think you had some inner rage against me at that point. And you're like, this is I got the open door? Let's do this. All right.
What do you got?
That's. I think that just really the fun questions. I mean, some of the hypotheticals. I think we asked. After our last podcast, we kind of threw a few out there. I don't remember if we asked them all. Because they're very good questions. But I had asked Laura about because she's really likes crime, and those. So I was like, hey, what would you do if your friend had to get rid of a body?
Yeah. That was Steven's question, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So
do you have an answer?
We had this answer. I knew what I would do. I said I would bring the body downstairs into my basement to the unfinished part. I would jackhammer it open, put that body underneath there with some lime, cement it over, and then finish the basement so that you can't see that there's new cement, old cement.
Yeah.
That body's not leaving the house.
And I didn't bring this up. So I loved your answer. Makes total sense. Logically, you want to tell me your answer?
I know Jen's answer. Didn't you say? No?
Yeah. Yes. So I would cut the body up. I've been made fun of for this.
This is going to be played in court someday, so just keep that in mind.
I love it.
And then I would take those pieces to an alligator farm.
Oh, yes.
In the night.
That's right.
And feed part of the body to the alligators I'd
Several.
go one day and then maybe skip a couple days and then throw the rest of it in. And
so
then,
you break
But
into
you have to break in each time.
Yes. Depending on how large the person is, they could be really tall or maybe a short person. I'm not sure who's getting murdered. I didn't do the murdering. I'm just getting rid of the body. So
if you kill a midget,
you can't give the alligators too much to eat because then they won't eat it all because they're already normally fed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wouldn't be like, oh, what's this person throwing this food in here for? They know to eat it.
Could you not take the whole body and just let them drag it down?
No, I don't think they would eat the whole thing because they're already getting fed during the day.
She's going to an alligator
Shows
park
and
with
things.
only 3 alligators.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like
I'll help you break in once. I'll give you one time to help you break in, and then I don't think I can.
Wait a couple days and break in again. Wait a couple days.
They might get wise to it, though.
I mean, you may not even actually really have to break in. I mean, you could throw the body pieces depending on how
Over the
large
fence.
you cut them up. Pretty far away. Maybe you get one slingshot things. I'm not sure how it would work out exactly.
Slingshot? Could you slingshot like a whole skull? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
slingshotting.
the skull, I think you'd have to do special stuff with that because, I mean, if somebody doesn't finish the whole skull and they have like
dental records,
the bones, yeah. Then
So let me tell you
have to
what popped into my
crush
head
that thing up
with the slingshot. I watched a show where somebody was trying to slingshot and they held it the wrong way, and that thing came back and hit him in the face. That was in the
Ooh, yeah,
slingshot. What if you're like
what happened
slingshotting
for
an
the
elbow and it
guns.
goes right in your eye?
That's no good.
No, I don't want
Elbow
that.
in the
Yeah,
eye.
that's not good. Then you have like blood everywhere.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I think you already have it everywhere.
Oh, well, I think
mean,
more
from
if
the
you
cutting
slingshot
up.
it, hit you.
We've
in the
given
face.
quite a lot of good ideas to people out there who need to get rid of a body. I think between the four of us.
This is what happens after your show when Jen and I talk about it. After we listen to it, we talk at work like this.
That's
about
fantastic.
this stuff.
True.
So I do like the Easter
one more question.
Easter lamp.
Oh,
questions are fun.
So on Easter, we had our this year's Easter episode. So for one, if you haven't listened to hypothetical questions to find out how to dispose of a body, you can go back and listen to that one if you're listening now. But that was episode 88 or 98. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Easter episode this year, we talked about the Easter lamp. And if you rubbed the Easter lamp and Jesus came out and granted you one wish, what would that wish be? So I'd like for you to both to answer. We'll start with you because you always start with your partner and let the other person think of something. So Jen, if you had to rub the Easter lamp and Jesus came out and gave you a wish, for the Catholics who are probably starting an email to me right now about how sacrilegious that is.
He doesn't live in a lamp.
You can stop because I don't care. What do you think?
He's everywhere, so lamps are included.
I would want to do something like end world hunger or something like that because,
Steven didn't like that answer.
it's
Try again.
Jesus, I'm asking
true.
for this wish.
This could be your ticket into the
So-
good place.
I would do something good like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you just make.
Oh, I thought you were going to cry. I'm like, it's not a crying need for this.
No, I had to cough. Excuse me.
So you would end world hunger, like
Yeah, something
complete
like
beauty
that.
pageant answer this thing.
That's very honorable
I mean,
of you.
It's honest.
I'm talking to Jesus. I want him to be like proud of me.
Is that like a brown nose
Excellent.
to get straight into heaven?
Yeah.
You would do
She's
that because you're
brownie
saying
points.
you keep saying I'm talking to Jesus.
Jesus.
So like you wouldn't walk up and go,
wouldn't
I
say,
want a
Jesus,
Corvette.
Can I have $1 million
Right.
or something ridiculous
Got
like
it.
that?
$1 million is barely anything
wanting-
these days.
I'm-
You need to ask for way more money than that. For one.
10 million's retire from life.
For two.
You
no,
need 10
no.
10 million at
I would
minimum.
And then you can do all the
I'd
feeding
be
you want.
greater gooding
So if it wasn't
okay?
Jesus
All right.
and it was just
regular
Easter bunny.
Aladdin,
Regular old genie.
Then
It
I
was
should
Aladdin.
have 3 wishes.
Just
and
one.
And then,
Well, that's not a regular genie. It's always
Right.
3.
but we don't have it.
Well, I don't. This isn't your game, so Steven, how many wishes?
You still get one wish.
so
it's a third of a genie. It's a
it's
tiny
like
little genie pops
apprentice
out.
genie.
It's cheating.
Okay, we're gonna come back. You think?
I would ask for then the 3 wishes that a regular genie would give you.
Oh, you can't ask for more
Oh
wishes.
my God!
This is
It's part of the
amateur
rules
hour.
of these things. You know better.
This episode brought to you by
Frustration
Genies.
and pain.
Aladdin.
I meant Aladdin.
Why didn't you give me 3 wishes?
Just marriage.
Marriage.
If I was talking to Jesus, that one's easy for me. I would change my brother's life. And just straighten it all out, make it much easier for him. That's easy one for me.
Very admirable.
Excellent. Yeah, very good answer. So let's kind of.
How would, just I can't
No,
let
yeah.
it go.
Let's
Okay.
let's do it.
How would that have changed your life, though?
It wouldn't.
I think it,
What are you
Well, I
talking
mean,
about?
it
It
would,
would.
but it
Oh,
would.
yeah.
It would be for him. It would be for him way more than it would be for me. It never bothered me the way that my brother is.
No. I'm saying that, like, I feel like your brother has some disabilities.
Oh yeah.
But that's part of how, like, that's part of who you are. Like, that's part of who he is. That's part of how your family's grown up. Like, that's helped. I don't know. I feel like that's shaped a lot of people around.
It has. He's been an amazing
Yeah,
person for
amazing.
a lot of people. It changed so many people in so many different ways. I wouldn't want that to change. What I would want to change is for him to experience life like everyone else does.
For sure.
You know,
I'm with
maybe
you.
to get
Okay.
married or
Yeah.
have a girlfriend or have children or to
Just to have
Independence.
independence.
the fuller life
yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not be stunted.
Not
at that
see it
age.
and want it and know that you're not going to have it. Like that is absolutely what I would change.
100%.
And Jen, you're ruining my
This whole podcast
moment
is messed
here.
up.
Do you see that I have like a little tear in my eye and
Somebody's
you're over there
cutting
coughing?
onions and you're over here choking to death. This is.
I cannot help this.
Can we start the podcast over?
We just edit that out.
Yeah, we'll take that out in post. So, excellent answers. So let me just throw this in here, sort of a segue into just maybe something you guys might want to talk about is, if this is here, we don't have the world listening necessarily, but we have, our audience. Plus, as we talked to our kids about sort of in their segments, we thought, part of the reason that we did this podcast was so that some of what we're saying might live on and they might be able to, like, once we're gone or at least, in the future when they are older and have kids, they might be able to come back and listen to some of this. So what would you want to say to, anybody listening or to the future children that we have? Or their kids, just anything that you want to bring up, right? Like we've been sort of driving the questions, but is there something that you would like to, to talk about or
Are you guys having
say?
future kids?
It's impossible for us to have future children.
Oh, you mean your children
Right, without
in the future?
without rubbing the Easter
or if
Jesus
our children
lamp.
have children.
Yeah, the future generation, So we'll start with Laura.
Oh, jeez.
Jen.
Yes, sorry, Jen.
Steven. No. Who? Me? Okay, I'll go.
You go.
No, I mean, I've done that on 98 episodes.
I don't know. When I think about those kind of things, I think of them in the moment. Like I think if someone were to say to me, "You probably don't have too much longer to live," what would you say? That's a lot. That encompasses a lot. If I want to make it easier, I just say, enjoy life more. I think I've spent a lot of time worrying and trying to fight for what I thought was right. Just enjoy life more and, go to Dave Matthews shows. Take the vacation, buy the clothes, lighten up. It's not worth it to be fighting every minute of the day anymore.
Okay. I
Jen?
would say, just from my own personal experiences, just believe in yourself, give yourself credit, and if you're not sure if you can do something, just try it anyway. Do it. See what happens. You can just put your money on yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you think people say the things that they feel like they didn't do during life?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I never would have thought to
100%.
say believe in myself because I'm overly confident in that area. That sounds terrible. It sounds egotistical, but I am. I'm always confident in myself more than other people. So I would never think to say that, but is that something you would tell yourself?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to tell myself that a lot.
Yeah.
To do lots.
Like to trust yourself.
Don't worry
and
about
be
how deep the
confident.
water is. Just jump in.
Right. Just
Try
do it.
Excellent.
Just do it. Yeah.
Got it.
Just do it. That's Nike. We're
I
not
know,
sponsored
we're
by
not.
them.
Oh, I just
We're not
watched that
doing
movie.
Should be.
I watched that movie Air. That was so good.
I served it up. I served it
the
up.
only one participating here.
Like, you guys know the inside
I
jokes
know,
here, right?
but we should be.
All right. So then, that's the questions I had. I don't know if you have any more, but I also wanted to just give you an opportunity for open floor. If you had any questions for us or wanted us to answer something on here, you didn't have to have anything prepared necessarily, but if you were like, oh, I'm going on this, and there's a question that they haven't answered, maybe they were afraid to on the podcast, but I want to hear them answer it, or just anything, open floor. So if you, is there anything else you want to do before we rate this can? And
My question would be, what have you learned about yourself by doing this podcast?
Yeah, Andrew.
You want me to start? One thing is we have to learn to say name. Okay. So throw it to me. I'm
You good?
Yeah, I'm good
Yeah,
to go
go.
first. I think one thing that I've learned is just to absorb and be okay with like just saying here. And it is so nebulous, and I'm very sorry for that. But we've done so many different topics and stuff that it's like anytime I had previous to this, I had a thought, and and you kind of go deep in your own mind. And we kind of talked about this a little bit with Tay and Marlie, was that, Stephen brought up a good point then, is that, we were able to really take a subject and not just have my own point of view, but say, hey, let's take a little time with this, and I want to see what you think to better myself, really, because one of my goals in life is just constant education, right? That's why I watch a lot of documentaries and read articles and stuff. So I want to learn as much as I can. And I think pre-podcast, what we were doing was a lot more therapy sessions. And we mentioned this, getting away from our family for a little bit and then talking about our families and how we're dealing with careers and families. But coming in here, I feel like we really got to explore topics we probably wouldn't have, and then doing research on it and then saying, hey, what do you think? So I hope I'm answering your question, is that I feel like I've bettered myself in terms of just trying to explore and understand other points of view, even though we share a lot of similar beliefs and opinions. There's some that we differ on, and I love when people differ. And we've had this conversation a lot. It's some of the more fun conversations is when I differ with someone, because I want to hear why and understand their logic. And not only have we been able to do that with each other, but then when people listen and they come to us and go, hey, I heard this and I wanted to, here's my 2 cents. That's one of the better feelings I think we both get is that interaction it sparked somebody, right? It sparked their imagination. It sparked their logic or whatever that is. And then they're like, here it is. And I'm like, yes, I love that. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think mine is something similar, and I'm going to attribute it to an episode we did called Growth versus Fixed Mindset. What it solidified for me is that you should keep your mind open. We've talked about a lot of things that I'm like, I don't know crap about this. Like Andrew will text me and go, here's the topic for this week. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that. I'm like, and so you have to go look up stuff and you have to form your own opinion about it and go, okay, well, this is where I'm going to kind of come into this with not knowing anything that Andrew's going to talk about and having just a topic in my head of what he said. It's this topic. I'm like, okay. And I don't really know. I'm like, I'll do a little research of my own of what that is. And then I have to come in and like form my own opinion. And then we have to debate about what that opinion could be or should be. We've had all kinds of fun debates about religion and politics and aliens and almost everything in between. Mm-hmm. Abortion and all kinds of like marijuana laws. And like, we've just run the gamut of stuff.
How to shower.
Like literally hygiene. Like it's crazy. And so the fact that we tick people off, like if I've ticked somebody off, good. I love it because I have an opinion. It's okay. I'm open to other stuff. I love the fact that I've kind of solidified. I'm good with being open-minded and going, I could be swayed. This is how I feel right now. I'm at this stage in my life. This is where I'm at. And I'm good with that. You can have a conversation with me. We can have a fun debate, and I'll go, I kind of like that. I don't like this. I like that. This is how I feel. It's valid. I'm okay with it. Like if you're so fixed in where you're at, like you just stop. You close out the world. Like we've opened a lot of doors that I've been like, I'm gonna go, think about. I've looked at a bunch of documentaries on like the hole in the earth theory, like that it's a donut. And I'm like, that could happen. Like literally,
it's where the aliens live,
right? I mean, why not be open-minded about it? Like what do we know? What did we know 20 years ago or 30 years ago about medicine that we're completely wrong about right now? Look, cocaine used to be a medicine, not a medicine now. Heroin used to be medicine, not a medicine now. How do you think we're so right today? Like that's what I think we've explored enough of these topics where I go, we're not so right now that we can't be wrong in 5 years. Just so open your mind a little. I love that. So we've explored a lot of topics where I'm like, my mind's kind of open about this. I could go either way. All good. So I love that. I think that's where I've grown is going, I'm open-minded. And people go, do you really think there's a hole in the earth? I'm like, could be. They're like, you're an idiot. Super. I don't care. I can be an idiot because if there is, I'm right and you're wrong. And we find out 5 years from now there's a hole in the earth where aliens live. look at me. I was open-minded enough to consider it as a possibility.
Look at me.
Look at me. And you're like, I know everything. You're like, you don't know everything. We've never known everything. We've always thought we've known everything since the beginning of man.
Right.
Look at that. We know everything. Shut up. You don't know everything. So I like that. I like that I've explored a whole bunch of topics where I'm like, I don't really know a whole lot. I don't know a lot about everything. It's okay.
All right. I covered.
I like that.
That's good.
Good.
Anything else? Are we good? Are we thinking we should rate?
Oh yeah.
I will say one last little topic.
Yeah.
We're missing a daughter of mine here. And so I would love for her opinion to have been here, because I think it would have added the weird layer of your family and my family are slightly different in that we started really young. So I have one older daughter that's kind of the younger daughter equivalent to you, right? So like we brought
Right.
Elaine on. I've got a Morgan that's older. I'd love to hear her opinion on this show, because I think she has a completely different take than the youngest daughter that you did get to hear from, and not in a bad way, just different life experience. And she's a little bit more like Jen in a lot of ways. And so it would have been interesting to hear, because she actually listens, unlike the one that's more like me, who doesn't listen, who's willy-nilly. So it would have been interesting to see how similar her vision is, or her view of this thing is yours. But so I wish she was here, but we didn't. She's grown adult who has to work at night, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
But miss her dearly. I wish she was on this.
Yeah.
I think Morgan got a different perspective of the four of us also, because she was kind of the first kid to be around really any of us. And so we spent a lot of time with you guys when she was little, and at your house, in your house, at Morgan's birthday parties, at Morgan, like things for Morgan.
Yeah.
And so I always wonder what she thought of it then, versus now as an adult. What does she remember of that? It would be interesting to kind of hear her perspective on.
She was
on
the
what
first
things
of anything. Like she was the first child. Like we raised her at college, right? So she was the first.
Yeah.
My sister had sorority. They were like all the sorority sisters come over. Like first kid they'd ever seen.
She was amazing.
Like it was incredible.
She destroyed Andrew's life by taking all of his DVDs off of his
my God.
stand.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first time I ever noticed that Andrew really had an issue with things being in their place. He used to put the blanket over it. He'd go, "Oh, is she going to take those off again?"
She is.
I'm just going to put a blanket over it. And then Morgan would move the blanket and still take all of the DVDs off of the shelf. And I just thought it was the funniest thing ever.
They were alphabetized.
I know they were.
She was the one who shaped a lot of our lives back then. Like she shaped my life and who I am today. Like
For
she
sure.
for both of our lives, like completely. But she shaped everybody around her because she was the first kid. Like that was the first taste of responsibility. Like at 20, most of our friends had never seen. They're like, "Oh God, you've got a kid already. You've got responsibility." We're like, "Yeah, we don't know what we're doing." Her perspective on the world is different, and I love that about her because she was raised different. So anyway, just shout out to her that she didn't get to make the show, but I think trying to give her perspective would be interesting.
Definitely a shout out to Morgan. I would love for her to be here.
All right. Let's rate a can. So She Who Brought can start.
I really liked it. And I'm not really a lemonade person. I don't think it has for me, it doesn't have an overwhelming whiskey taste. So I like it because it's lemonade, but you get a little bit of the alcohol in there. For me, at least. I mean, maybe somebody else it's overpowering, but I really like it. But I would probably go with a 4 on this.
All right. So if you see it again, you will purchase.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just go ahead and go next. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I like a few of their other flavors, I think, a little better, which will keep it at a 3 for me. I like their cola flavor, and their peach is my favorite. But I'm a, I've said it enough.
Guy.
I'm a peach guy. That's what she said or something he said. Sorry. You guys served it up.
Somehow it's your fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
No
Every
fault. That was it was a great serve.
Serve.
Then I volleyed. Serve
right.
and volley, right?
No fault.
So I'm going to give it a 3. It's good. It's solid. But of their repertoire, I do like the peach better. So I'll go to that one more. But if this one is on a boat on the lake during the summer, I will certainly drink them. You do not have to twist my arm very hard.
We have to find a boat.
We need a boat.
All right, Jen.
Bigger boat. I love it. I don't like whiskey in most fashions, but this is delicious, and I could drink it all day. And the one thing that maybe no one has brought up is the can is textured, so it feels really good in your hand.
Yeah.
And it just is, it's easy to go down, and I'm almost done with it. So
what would you rate it?
I would rate it I think 4, but what was the 5?
5 is you're going to push this on other people. People come over to your house and you're like, you have to taste
Not
it.
only do you have it in the fridge, but you have to push it on people.
4 is I'm just buying it for myself
Proactively
'cause I
buying
like
it. Going, I'm going to go look
I'm
for
gonna
it.
go with a 5 because I may want people to try it because it is really good, in my opinion.
What is happening?
It's not overly whiskey.
Everything.
Cannonball coming.
I mean, caveat that I've not tried the cola or the peach because that sounds like it might be good too.
Peach
but
is good.
Lemon, I'm a fan of it. I guess.
If they had a
I really
variety
like the
pack,
peach, though.
which they do not have that I'm aware of, if they had a variety pack, I'd probably grab that because then you get all of the flavors. But they sell them in 4s and they're only individual.
So just a quick caveat. We had this over the weekend. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh no.
And do you remember me telling you that is delicious?
First time we've ever had it. No. Because I picked it up for the same probably reason you did.
Nice.
It's like, I like this.
Limited
It's going to be
edition.
great. And
My only issue with this is the
you're still
amount
going?
of calories.
We don't ever talk about that on the show.
I know.
it's not a
But
thing.
you know, you only
is
get it
something-
during the summer, so
Right.
just calories are just for the summer.
We talk about Florida ounces. That's what we
Yes.
do it on.
So there's a little bit of whiskey to it that I don't like. I'm not a huge Crown. I'm not a huge Crown fan.
Because it's Canadian.
I don't.
America, baby.
It's right. I'm at a 3 because I actually did drink 3 of these this weekend over the course of 2 days. Somebody else I think drank one.
Wouldn't
if not,
that
I drank.
be a 4 for you?
I may have drank 4.
No, if you drank 3, wouldn't it be a 4?
But no, it's like a Bud Light, or a Miller, or a Michelob, or whatever. It's in the fridge. I'll drink it.
All right.
That's
But
a
you
3.
don't think it's really good?
I mean, I think
Okay.
it's there's just too
I'm
much
not
of a.
believing
opinion.
this number 3.
That's funny. We don't normally question each other's.
I feel like
You invited us. This is what you get.
this is no
Whitney
longer
did. Like, wait,
Yeah,
are you
Are you sure about that?
no longer the judgment-free zone that it started out to be.
I don't think you meant to say a 3. I think you meant to say a 4.
Yeah, when Jen's here, I'm wrong a lot.
Well, I'm just saying that because I think every drink I've ever given you guys, there's been at least 1 5 for every drink, and Jen was my 1 5. I think every drink I gave you was.
You brought us Kringle cream. You brought us what else?
Yeah.
You've brought us a couple of stuff.
cream is delicious, but you can't find it anywhere.
Shoot,
Yeah.
I can't remember now. I'd have to look at the
You
list
brought
of
us some
them.
good- You also brought us sake, I believe. And if you, if
That
you're the
was
one-
his
spicy,
idea. I ordered it. It was his plan.
spicy margarita.
Spicy
you brought us.
margarita?
Spicy margaritas.
That thing was delightful.
Oh, I look
like
for those things everywhere.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
You brought us some good ones. You also, the sake, not a good one. If that's you,
It was my idea to do the sake, and then she found it,
It was
in
a
a
good
can.
idea.
It was the only one in a can.
it was a good idea to do. It just wasn't a good idea
Right.
to drink
Yeah.
it.
Hey,
Okay. Still
we
Andrew's fault.
explored. I like change. So, and with that, we just, I know for myself, and I'm sure for Stephen, I can let him speak for himself, but thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. It was quite entertaining and quite fun. I hope for not only us, but for those listening. Did you just have
I did a
thought?
little bit because I thought about Jen and how much Jen likes The Office. And when they ended The Office, right? And when Andy says
Roasted.
when Andy
Parkour.
says, "I wish there was someone that could tell you you're in the good old days before they're over."
Yeah.
I think I could say to you guys, or Jen could, that you guys are probably in the good old days at this moment.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of part of something like that.
Excellent.
So
I like it.
Love it.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for bringing the can. Just thanks for also supporting all of this, because not only did I want to do this and go, hey, I'm going to, set this all up. And then Jen, you're like supportive of, yeah, go ahead, go over and, do that. And then every once in a while we mentioned this on the second segment that, when we have a few too many, he's had to call his Uber and to come get him.
That's me.
So thank you for doing that. But super, super supportive and very much, fans are listening and then being great feedback to all the time. So any words that you would like to say before we close it out?
No, I agree. Thanks for joining and being on one with us. It's kind of been weird and fun.
I like it.
It's been a blast.
We should have been going to the boat this whole time. Every time they did a show, we should have gone out and done something.
All right.
Silly of us.
You could just keep going, but can we all say at the same time?
Thank you.
That's enough feelings for one show. I hope you've had as much fun as us with your circle as we did with ours. I think I said that right. Bye.